Excel remained one of the most powerful and widely used tools for data analysis, reporting, and decision making across industries. Whether you are managing budgets, analyzing sales, exploring trends, Excel equips you with the flexibility and functionality needed to turn your raw data into meaningful insights. This course is designed to take you from basic of formulas to advanced Excel formulas, pivot table, macros, and even AI features such as Excel and Copilot. My name is Dhruv Singh, your guide for this journey, bringing deep industry experience and a passion of helping learners master the tools in practical and engaging way. So without any further ado, let's begin.
We'll start with the introduction of Excel. Excel or Microsoft Excel is a combination of rows and columns. It's a spreadsheet program normally used to record and analyze statistical data. Normally, it is helped for multiple purposes. It provides multiple features like recording calculations, pivot tables, creating visuals, performing macros, and can be used as a graph tool also. It's compatible with Microsoft, macOS, Android, and iOS. Excel is a spreadsheet. Okay, when I say spreadsheet, it's a combination of rows and column. Wherever a row meets a column, it's called a cell. Columns are denoted with alphabets while rows are denoted with number. Take an example. If I have a cell called A4, A is the column number and 4 is the row number. As mentioned, address of a cell is recorded by its particular cell values. You can take a combination of rows and column to record the actual cell referencing. Going on to the next PPT, we are talking about the origin of the spreadsheet. Initially, Dan Brecklin and Bob Frankston invented it in 1979. It was developed for VisiCalc for Apple II and took 20 hours of work per week to a complete 50 minutes in general. 15 by 15, I mean 1 5 15 minutes. Okay. It was sold and developed into Lotus 1, 2, and 3. So you can understand that spreadsheet has made a lot of change in the market. Coming into such older times, they were able to reduce or crunch the work. The work that was traditionally done on paper was shifted towards an actual PC. We were creating spreadsheet and crunching work. Initial data collection and data manipulation was historical for our particular part. Now going on to the next sheet, this is the interface of the Excel. Okay, in the particular interface, you can see there are ribbon at the top, you have a formula bar, and you have the worksheet window. In the particular parts, we will be seeing each and every ribbon in detail. Now, the first ribbon that you have is the file ribbon. Then you have the home ribbon over here. Okay. As mentioned, we will be understanding the ribbon. At the top, you have the ribbon start button. Over here, we have the tabs used to give commands on Excel. Okay. Over here in the home tab, you can see basic commands. Okay, these could be changing the text size, its font, whether to make it bold, change the font color, whether to highlight the text, align these particular text, adjust the spacing, alignment, and adjusting the number format. So if you want a currency format, if you want a date format, adjusting the conditional formatting, formatting it as a table, changing the sales style, inserting a value or a row. So if I want to insert a column or row, I can use insert bar in the cells option over here. I can delete the rows and column in the same manner. I can format these things in the same manner. Okay. We can have a summation sign over here. We have other options also available, which we'll be seeing in the editing part in detail. Okay. Now going on further, we have the insert tab first. Now, insert tab is a generic tab that is used to insert values in your particular Excel sheet. You can insert tables over here. You can insert illustrations over here. You can insert apps from Microsoft Office. Okay, so you can have a proper app store where you can download multiple sorts of apps. At the same time, you can have recommended charts. So I can select a data and I can ask Excel to recommend me charts. I can also add charts on my own. I can take a bar chart, I can take a line chart, I have pie charts over here. I have multiple other bar charts and area charts available. We have cluster chart, radar charts, combination charts, and pivot charts available over here. In contrary to that, we can also add Power View over here. Okay, so it's an extension of Power BI. Initially, Power View was the actual brainchild that was introduced in Excel, which later on became a standalone tool on Power BI. So if I tell you in certain, Power View was the add-in that was added, which became a standalone tool. Okay, so Excel has been the starting of Power BI. Still, Power BI uses multiple modules of Excel as an engine, but they both are fine-tuned in a different manner. Now, going on further, I can add Sparklines over here. I can add filters over here. So if I want to add filters, those shortcuts are available, but these are options that you can choose from. We have links over here. If I want to add a link, I can add text and I can add symbols at the same time. Okay. So these are the options that are available on your insert tab. Okay. I hope you're clear with this thing. We'll go to the next PPT. Next thing that I have over here is the page layout tab. Page layout tab allows us to do multiple settings related to our page, be it themes, be it adjusting of the layout in general, adding margins, changing the orientation of the page, having the print area. So if I want to print this particular page, I can adjust how much area I want to print. Okay. At the same time, I can add background to my page. I can add pivot tables over here. We can adjust the width and height of a cell. Okay. We can scale the cell over here. Okay. If I want the scale to fit, if I want the scale to be entire screen, I can do that thing. I can even add grid lines over here. I can see the print grid lines. I can see the view grid lines. I can see the headings over here. Print it. Okay. Arrange is something that is used to arrange the orientation. Okay. What order do you want the values to be? Okay. Currently, what we are doing is we are seeing each and every tab and we are trying to understand it in detail. In the coming time, we will be understanding the use cases around it. Okay. Going on to the next tab, we have the formulas tab over here. Okay. Formula tab consists of insert function. You could see over here, I can insert multiple functions over here. We know it that Excel is widely used for data manipulation. So over here, we will be manipulating the data. We will be adding formulas like sum, subtraction. We'll have logical formulas. We'll have text related formulas. We'll have date and time. You can see there are suggestions available over here. So I can see the recently used formulas. I can do a auto sum over here. I can see the financial formulas over here. There are multiple financial related functions that are automatically available over here, which I can use for aiding my financial calculations. We have logical formulas over here for applying the if conditions and while loops over here. We have text related functions. We have date and time related functions. Okay. So time intelligence functions are available, which will help me with the date related functions over here. Other things over here are we can trace the precedence. So if we have multiple functions that are related to each other, I can see over here. So take an example. I am doing a sum. Okay. In this particular sum, I am getting the sum of Delhi. Now I have a different function that filters the existing sum and gives me the sale for Delhi. And then I do a multiple filter over here, which gives me 2014 sales for Delhi for a particular region only. Okay, so I can track the precedence and I can see what formula was derived by what, and we can actually trace the path in cases of any error. We can trace the precedence, we can trace the dependents, we can remove arrows if I want to trace in the process of tracing. We can add watch window over here, we can watch the particular functions perform. We can see the calculation options that are available. So there are multiple calculation options that are available that we can do over here. Okay. The next bar that we have over here is the data bar. Now, data bar is something that we'll be playing around with. Okay, it has multiple functions that we can use for our development. Okay, somewhere or the other, we have filter options over here. We can refresh, we can load data from multiple external data sources. We can sort this data, we can filter this data. Okay, we can convert the text to columns. So these are simple pivot options that are available over here. We can flash fill the data. We can also remove duplicates over here. Okay, There are multiple data validation options. These data validation options will be very helpful for you in doing advanced functionalities. I'll be breaking down these things in the coming parts. Okay. Going to the next part, we have outline options available, which will be outlining our data. Okay. The next tab that we have over here is the review tab. Review tabs helps me find the reviewing of my spellings. It helps me give the thesaurus, and it helps me translate the data, adding comments to my sheets. Also, it helps me provide multiple security options. So this is a common question for you guys, right? How to protect the sheet, how to protect the workbook, okay, how to share a particular workbook, right? So these sort of options are available on this onto the review tab that is available over here. You can protect, you can share the worksheets, you can allow users to edit a certain range. Take an example, if I'm passing a sheet to my client and I want him to make changes only onto the review tab that is available over there. So they can only add reviews, they cannot change my original data. I can do that thing. I can give access to these particular people on the basis of email ID, and we can ask them. We can also track changes. So if any change has been done, the changes trend can be analyzed and we can see the versionings over there. Okay, so that way I can go back or roll back if I want to see what was the change made, was it proper. So take an example, if I have a team working under me, if I have a generic team working under me and they have made changes in the file, I can track these changes. Okay, so that could be a very smart feature for me to avoid any sort of error on my Excel sheet. Next option that we have is the view pane. View pane has a normal pane, that is the normal Excel sheet that you see. You can also add page break view. Okay. Now, what does page break do? If I add a page break, the scroll bar will be limited to that part. Okay. We will be seeing that thing in the coming time again. Okay. We'll be seeing in the coming practical application when we work on that. Then we have the page layout, we have the custom views, we have show option, zoom option. I can zoom in the data, I can see the 100% preview of the sheet. I can zoom a certain selection. Okay, so if I have selected something in my Excel sheet, I can zoom directly to that selection. Okay, I can add a new window, I can arrange all, I can freeze the pane. Now, freeze the pane is good when I want to show a certain view to the client. That view will be frozen and it will not move around. Okay, we have switch to windows option. If I want to switch into multiple windows, we have macros option, which is a very important thing. This will facilitate us to write functions, automated functions on Excel. Okay, so that will be a very important factor. The next thing that we have is the design option. In design, most use cases that we or I prefer to use are inserting slicers. Okay, we add pivot table, we can summarize the pivot table, we can remove duplicates. So take an example, if my name is coming multiple times in an Excel sheet and I want to remove the repetitions over there, I can use the remove duplicates option. Okay, we have convert to range option over here, we have an export option over here. Okay, we can add table option styles. So quick styles, if I want to add to my table, right, I can do that. I can add quick styles quickly and my table will be formatted. So if I want to save time and I don't want very major formatting, I can choose it from the quick styles option available over here. Okay, now, the part that comes up is the most interesting one. Okay, this is called as cell referencing. Whenever you call a cell, as mentioned before, cell is the place where the column and a row meet. If you see the PPT over here, you will see C8 is mentioned on the cell referencing part. C8 typically means that C is something that is my column name and 8 is a row name. Wherever these 2 points meet, it is called a cell reference. Okay, so B5 refers to B column and 5 row. Okay, AZ23. Now, this is something that goes till a lot of values. We will be seeing that the limit of this particular cell values in the coming time. AZ23 means that my column name is AZ and the row is 23. Okay, cell reference is also called as cell address many times. Okay, now going on to the next PPT, this is my formula bar. Normally, when I'm writing a function or a calculation in Excel, this is how the formula bar comes up. Okay, we have the cell value, we have the cancel button, we have the enter button, we have the FX option, and we have the formula bar over here. Okay, so you can write an actual formula Mind you, you have to start a formula with an is equal to operator. Okay, that is what marks that this is a formula that has to be written. Okay, that is something that you have to remember. Next thing that we have is understanding workbooks and worksheet. Now, these words are quite often confused and used interchangeably, but they mean something. If I say it in very simple word, okay, a workbook is a combination of multiple worksheets or chart sheets. Chart sheets are specific sheets that are used for the purpose of adding charts, okay, adding visuals to my screen. Okay, so workbook is a combination of multiple worksheets. We have chart sheets over here, okay. A worksheet, okay, if I say it in simple word, is a combination of rows and column. Okay. Over here, when a row and column meet, they form a cell. Cell are used to record data. Each cell is uniquely identified as mentioned by the address that we have. Columns are usually labeled letters while rows are usually numbers. A workbook is a combination of worksheet. Okay, so if I have multiple worksheets, it's called a workbook. So if my Excel sheet consists of sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3, sheet 4, it's a workbook. Okay, by default, workbook has three worksheets. Okay, now you can delete and add sheet to suit your requirement. By default, the name of the sheet will be sheet 1, sheet 2, and sheet 3, and going on forward. Okay. You can rename the sheet by double clicking on that sheet. So if you double click, you can add the name. Try to add meaningful names so that you can recall them whenever you are trying to understand, or when the client is viewing is he's able to understand what you are trying to say over here. Okay. Excel has approximately 16,384 columns and 10,48,576 rows to be precise. The intersection of it is called a cell, we all know it. Columns are numbered from A to XFD, that is the naming convention. Okay, and the rows are from 1 as mentioned before 10,48,576. Okay, so this is the level to which we can actually use an Excel workbook. Okay, or an Excel worksheet to be precise. Okay, moving on further to the next PPT, we have some important shortcuts. These are the basic shortcuts that will be required for your Excel working. We have Control plus P to print a particular report, Control plus N to create a new workbook, Control plus S to save a particular workbook. We have Control C and Control V to copy and paste the values. Shift plus F3 displays the function insert dialog window, and Shift plus F11 creates a new worksheet. Then we have F2 to check the formula and the cell range covered. Okay, multiple other basic toggle keys options are available. Control plus toggle left makes you go to the next cell within the data. Control plus toggle down moves you down to the next cell in the data. Okay, so control plus home will take you to the first cell. Control plus end will be taking you to the lower right cells. Okay, control plus end again will move you towards the right cell. You have enter option over here. Enter will move down one row. If you write anything inside this thing and click on enter, it will automatically take you to the another row over here. Okay, shift plus down will take you one row, so it will move up one row. Shift plus tab will move one column to the left, and tab will make you move one column to the right. Okay, these are some basic functions, or you can say basic shortcuts that you should know for managing your toggle and your day-to-day work. We have multiple advanced Excel shortcuts also that we'll be seeing in the coming part. Now, Excel data types. We have three data types to be precise in Excel. We have text, we have formula, and we have a value data type, which could be a number, which could be money, any sort of data type over here. Okay. Going to the next data type, the first one that I have is a text data type. Okay. Any combination of letter, number, and special character come under text. Okay, it cannot be used for calculation. Okay, it is left aligned. Okay, and that is by default that is available. Then we have examples over here. Okay, so basic examples that we have in our PPT could be, for the text data type, could be a name of a person or a place, a telephone number, a security number, or maybe the ID of that particular person. Then it could be column headers like month, sales. All these column headers could be the employee name. Okay, that could be a text data type. The next thing that we have over here are the value entities. Okay, value entities consist of number, date, time. Okay, so if something is on a number data type, it will come under value entries. Okay, if it is of a date data type, dd, YYY, or any other short date or long date format. We have time. Time comes in the format of hour, month, and seconds. Negative numbers are signified in Excel using two brackets. Okay, so if I want to put minus 10 over here or minus 9876 as mentioned in the example, I'll put it under brackets. Okay, now over here as mentioned, 3/15/08 is recognized as a valid date. Okay, hence it is a valid entry. On the other hand, 15/15/08 is treated as an entry because 15/15/08 is not valid. Every time you have to have it in a month, DD, and YY format. Okay, so that is how it will recognize this thing. Okay, you can have a look over here. There's a small suggestion mentioned. Suppose we have an order number 10, 16, 17. Excel will incorrectly treat it as a valid date as October 16th, 1970. Okay, in such cases, you should enter 10, 16, 17. Okay, in a proper comma in the beginning to let Excel know that it is not a date. Okay, you can later on also adjust the same thing over here. Okay, so you can actually adjust that from the data type columns available in the home tab. Okay, then we have the formulas over here. Formulas, as mentioned before, are starting with is equal to sign over here. Okay, formula expression in general is equal to is used to tell or intimate Excel that I'm going to write a formula over here. Okay, it allows multiple types of arithmetic operations. Okay, you can see some operations in the example over here. We have 159. Start stands for the operator, that is multiplication, is equal to is starting into 3.7. A1 plus A2 plus A3 means add the values under cell A1. Okay, add the values under cell A2 and add this values under cell A3. Then we have 2. So we are using bracket. This bracket doesn't mean negative, guys, by the way. Bracket is just to tell you that the bracket will be solved first. Okay, so over here if you see, we have 2 into A1 minus B1. Okay, operator precedence will be followed in Excel, which we'll be talking in the next PPT. Okay, so we will go on to the operator precedence. First, the values inside the cell will be solved, and then C1 will be multiplied. Same way, we have A1 divided by B1 plus C1 exponential to the 2.5 value. Okay, so these sort of operations can be used over here. Okay, now these are the arithmetic operations over here. Okay, so over here we have parenthesis. As you mentioned over here, this is 5 plus 3. So first the bracket will be solved and bracket will be solved, and then you'll get the value over here. 5 plus 3 is 8. 8 divided by 2 will give us 4 over here. Okay, 5 to the exponential 2 means that 5 to the power 2. Okay, so you'll get 25 over here. 5 into 2 will give you 10 over here. 5 divided by 2, okay, this will give you 2.5 over here. Okay, 5 plus 2 will give you 7, that is the addition operator. Subtraction is 5 minus 2, that is equal to 3 over here. Okay, so these are some basic arithmetic operations that we'll be using in the particular functions. Operator precedence. Okay, normally Excel follows the precedence of bed mass, in which if you see over here, first multiplies 16 into 3. Whenever I have multiplication over here, it will first multiply, because when I say bed mass, okay, multiplication comes before addition. So if I have 16 into 3, take an example, 16 will be multiplied by 3 first and then adds 5 to produce the result of 53. Okay, same way over here. Technically, a1 is raised to the exponential of 3 over here. Okay, so what happens over here? A1 is raised to the power of 3 first, and then we are dividing the value. Okay, so result will be divided later because bed mass exponential comes first. So when exponential is a part of bed mass, in E is exponential. Okay, so E will come first. Okay, and then we'll have DMANS. Okay, so over here you can see A1 is raised to the power of 3 and then it is divided by the result. Okay, same way over here, A1 into B1 divided by C1. Okay, in this formula, the multiplication present in the values A1 and B1 will be carried out first. Okay, over here, multiplication is done first. Okay, and then we'll have division over here. Okay, multiplication result will be divided by the value in C1 over here. Okay, so for example, if value A1 is 4 and the value in the B1 is 2, we are having the value C1 is 5. Okay, then the formula results in 1.6 over here. Same way we have multiplication over here. We are multiplying by 2 in the value cell A1 and then subtracting it the value by B1 over here. Okay, so we are doing the value division over here. Okay, first multiplication and then subtraction over here. Okay, next the result of the value C1, assuming that the A1, B1 and C1 as above, the formula will result into 1.2 as an answer. Okay, in the next one that we have over here, we have C1 raised to the power of 2. Okay, so exponential is something that will go first. Okay, we'll get the intermediate result and then we will be going to the next calculation. Okay, so A1 will be divided by the value B1 and to get the second result out of it, finally the intermediate result will be answered. Okay, so assuming the same values A1, B1 and C1 as above, the formula will return you 27. Okay, so it's following the same operator precedence as mentioned in the following examples. Going on further, we have the best practices for Excel. These are worldwide practices so that you don't have any problem in sharing your sheet. So it is said that your report should be saved with backward compatibility. Never save the file to the latest version of Excel. Maybe the person who is using or the end user who is using may have an issue with it because he may not be to the latest version. So it is said to always save the file to a backward version. Okay, you should save your files in 2003 XLS format with the backward compatibility. Okay, use description names for column and worksheet in the workbook so that people are able to understand them better. Avoid working with complex formulas. Rather than writing one big complex formula, try writing multiple formulas over here. Okay, so that will ease your work. Okay, use built-in function. Built-in functions will always have better result comparative to the Excel function written over there. So if I say A1 like is equal to A1 plus B1, if I write it manually, it will have a small difference will be there in the duration. Okay, it will take much more time in processing than doing an auto sum. So wherever you have the chance for doing a built-in function, use the built-in function. Okay, this brings to the end of the theoretical PPT. Now we'll go to the part of practical application. Now we'll start with Power Query in Excel. Power Query is a very strong tool and can automate multiple complex processes in Excel. This is something that people don't talk about but is of high advantage and can reduce the workforce or manual work by multiple level. The main agenda of the entire thing is to give you something that is different from the normal. So we'll start with Excel Power Query. Okay, this will be the starting part. I'll go directly to my PPT over here. Okay, so normally when you open your PPT, you'll select a blank workbook over here. In this particular Excel file, we will be seeing Power Query. Now, in order to add data using Power Query, I'll go to the Data tab at the top. So at the top, you could see over here, there is a Data tab available over. Okay, so I'll go to the Data tab and I'll be using this particular tab for loading the data set. Okay, and the data set that we'll be using is Sample Superstore. Okay, this will be available under your material section. Okay, so for loading the data set, I will be clicking on New Query over here. In the New Query option, we will go to From File. So you can see over here, there is an option called From File. In the From file, we will go to From Excel Workbook. I'll be loading data from an Excel workbook. So we'll select From Excel Workbook over here.
When we click on the From Excel workbook, by the way, guys, in many versions, okay, you may get data option over here. Instead of new query, in the previous versions of Excel, you may get an option of get data. So you can click on get data. It will be available at the left hand side. In the get data only, you will get an option of from file. So try searching for an option of from file and from Excel workbook. Okay, that means the same. Only thing is in the newer version, they have changed the name over here. Okay, so I'll select from file. I'll select from Excel workbook. Okay, when I select from Excel workbook, as mentioned before, it will give me a path to search for the file. As we are loading the sample superstore file, I'll search for it. Okay, we'll select the sample superstore final. This is the file that will be loading. Okay, normally this is called the layer where we clean the data. So Power Query was substantially developed to clean the data before loading up into the Excel. Okay, but there are multiple other processes that we can do over here. The first thing that I'll do is I will click on this option. There would be an option called select multiple items because this is a workbook that you have. As mentioned, workbook is a combination of multiple sheets. You can also see the preview of each and every sheet. Okay, so at the right hand side, you can see the preview of order sheet. Okay, you can see the preview of people sheet over here, and this is the return sheet that we have. To select all the sheets, I will click on orders, I'll click on people, and I'll select returns over here. Okay, so these are the three things that we'll be selecting over here. Okay, once I have selected these three sheets, I will click on transform data. Okay, when I click on transform data, I'm making a decision, a conscious decision that before loading this data into Excel, I will first clean this data set. Okay, so we will be cleaning this data set first and then we will go towards the Excel. Okay, so when I click on transform data, what exactly happens? Our data set will be cleaned first. Okay, so I'll click on transform data, and as soon as we do that, we will be directed towards our Power Query editor. Okay, just a reminder, make sure that you click on all the checkboxes before doing this thing and then click on transform data. Okay, so as soon as you click on transform data, you will see at the top of your screen, on the top left corner, it will be written as Power Query Editor. Okay, now we'll do some basic transformations over here. Okay, if you click on the return table over here, you will see that returned and order ID are coming in first row. They are supposed to be the column headers. So we'll click on what? I'll click on use first row as header. Okay. This is the option that is available on your home tab. It is called as use first row as header. See, in simple words, what does use first row as header mean? I'm considering the first row as the column header. Sometimes what happens, the column header shift down. If you see in the people case, same problem is coming. Person and region, they were supposed to be the column header. They were supposed to be the title of the column. Because they are coming in first row, we have to shift them to the top. Okay. So in order to shift them to the top, I will click on use first row as header again. Okay. So when we click on use first row as header, you will see over here, they're shifted at the column header. Okay. And in the meanwhile, there are also very null values coming up over here. You can see multiple null values coming in people table. So in this case, what you can do is you can go to the filter option over here. Okay. And you can uncheck the nulls over here. Okay. So when you uncheck the null and click on OK, you will see person table is normal now. Okay. All the values seem proper. Everything is visible properly over here. Okay. Now let us see first, right, what is this data set all about? Okay, so the data set that you have in front of you is an e-commerce website data. Okay, it's a e-commerce, so you can understand this as maybe Flipkart, you can take it as Amazon or Alibaba, any website data. Orders table consists of the order ID, the date of order, the date of shipping the order. Okay. So when was the order placed? What was the order ID? When was it shipped? What is the mode of shipment? Now, mode of shipment can be dependent. If you see over here, ship mode, right? You have first class, you have same day, you have second class, and you have standard class. Okay. First class could be for Amazon Prime or one day delivery people. Same day could be again for those people. Okay, when they are getting it from a nearby location. Okay. Then we have second class and standard class. That could be for non-prime customers or the customers who are opting for a very heavy item which cannot be shipped under first class or same day. Okay. So that sort of options we have for the mode of shipment used by the company or by the end user for sending the product to the end user. Okay. ID of the customer, the name of the customer, the segment he belongs to, the city he belongs to, the state, postal code, and region. Okay. Product ID. Okay. What product did he buy? So, what was the customer? What place did he belong to? What was his postal code and address? What product did he buy? What category or subcategory is the product? What is the name of the product? And what is the sales quantity, discount, and profit? Okay, all the details are specifically mentioned over here. Okay, I hope you're clear with this thing. So we have the orders table, we have the people table and the returns table. What does people table consist of? People table, if you see, has only 4 people in it. These 4 people belong to different region. This is called as data sampling table. When I cannot analyze the entire data, right, then I'll do a data sampling over here. In general data sampling, what do we do over here is take an example. If I want to do a basic data sampling, okay, so what I'll do is take an example for Amul. Okay, Amul is a cooperative society. It collects milk from all the villages around its area, right? Now what happens in this case is whenever a truck comes from a particular village, they cannot test the entire truck. What they'll do is they'll take a small sample out of it, okay, and they will be testing that particular sample. Okay, once the sample is passed, they can ask the truck driver to enter the factory. Before that, nothing happens. Same way over here, we have millions of record. What we are doing over here is we are just analyzing people from different region, west, east, central, and south, to see their behavioral pattern, to see their buying patterns, to see their patterns on what type of taste and preferences they have. Okay, so all these factors are mentioned over here. The third thing that we have over here is the returns table. The returns table consists of all the order IDs that have got returned in the process. Okay, so I have multiple order IDs. These are the order IDs that have got returned in the process. Okay, why do we prefer e-commerce business? Because we always have the possibility of return if I don't like anything. So same way over here, I have all the order IDs that have returned in the process. Okay, so these are all the order IDs that are returned by the end users. Okay, I hope you are clear with the data definitions. Okay, so this was the data definition of each and every table that we have in the orders, people, and returns. Okay, now we will start with the transformation of the data set. Okay, how to clean this particular data set or make some basic changes as per the requirement. You guys must have heard about VLOOKUP in Excel. Okay, it's something that is a very peculiar task in which I want to ask for a value from a different sheet to this sheet. Okay, over here we are trying to mitigate that. Okay, I'll tell you in very simple words. I'll not go technical in this thing. I have got all the order IDs that have got returned in the process. Okay, if I say a basic principle, only order placed can be returned. Can you return an order that was never placed? No, you cannot do that. So over here also, we have got all the order IDs, right? In the orders table, if you see, right, we have all the details regarding the orders. So when that order was particularly placed, the name of the customer, the product detail, everything was mentioned at the time of placing the order. If I'm able to establish a relationship between orders table and returns table, okay, I'll be able to get the name of the customers who have returned the orders. I know it very well. These orders were once placed. So at the time of placing the order, they must have recorded the name of the customer. Okay. Now, how to get the name over here? In the home tab itself, you will see something called as merge query over here. This is called as merge query. Okay. So we'll select the merge query over here. Now, merge query will first of all ask you what are the common columns between the table. The first column that I have over here is order ID. The second column that I have over here is, again, you have to consciously choose. Here nothing will show up. Okay. You are joining the returns table with the orders table to get the customer name. So you have to tell them that, okay, I want to join to the orders table over here. When I'm telling to select the orders table in the drop down, I have to also tell the common column. So if you see, I had deliberately selected order ID over here. I will again select order ID over here. Okay. Now this order ID has been selected. If you see at the bottom, 296 rows matches the first table. Now, if you see at the left hand side, okay, on the return table bottom, you'll say that the return table consists of two columns and 296 rows. That was the purpose. All the returned order ID have found their subsequent ordered ID. Okay. So all the returns were able to find their orders. Okay. When I click on OK, the entire table will come up. What was the column that I required over here? I required only the name of the customers. Okay. So in this case, what I'll do is, अब देखो entire orders table has come up over here. I will click on the double arrow over here. Double arrow means expand. Okay. In this particular part, I'll uncheck everything and I will select what was the column that we were searching for. We were searching for the customer name column. So I'll select customer name over here. As soon as we select customer name over here and click on OK, we'll get the name of the customers. If you observe one thing over here, 800 rows are coming. There were supposed to be 296 rows, but why is 800 rows coming? Now, there is a terminology called granularity of data. If you go to the orders table, you will observe over here that one order ID is repeating multiple times. 115812 is repeating 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. Why is it repeating 7 times? Granularity, as I mentioned, is the lowest level of data. I've taken example of a medical store. You'll see that in a medical store, when you or a pharmacy, whenever you place an order, okay, whenever you tell them for a medicine, the person will manually note the name of the medicine and cut it. He'll put a tick or a cut mark over here. It's a dynamic business. There are a lot of medicines that are required on a day-to-day basis, and they are seasonal. Also, medicines cannot be stored by these pharmacy people for a long period of time due to multiple variety and storage issues. Okay, so they place order on a daily basis of the products that they have sold. The granularity of their business is product wise transaction. They don't tag the transaction, they tag the products that they have sold. In the same manner over here, I'm storing the transaction product wise. 115812 has repeated multiple times because I have made note of all the products inside them. You can see products are not repeating. If I go to Amazon, okay, I add five items in my cart, you will see that it will not give me five order IDs when I place the order. I'll get one order ID for one cart, but they have seven products or five products in it, right? So that five products will all have the same order ID. And if the end user or Amazon is recording the transaction product wise, it will have repetitions in it. Because of this repetition, when I tried to bring it to the returns table, the data started repeating. Okay. How to avoid the repetition? You can right click on order ID and you can remove duplicates. Again, I repeat, you have to right click on the column header. Okay. Don't double click, do a right click, a single right click at the middle part and click on remove duplicates. When you do that, the duplicate will be removed. If you check at the bottom left, you will see 296 rows. This is the actual count we wanted. You could see over here that customer name is coming as orders.customer name. You can double click on this thing and rename it as customer name. Okay. Okay. We are getting the customer name over here. Now, once we have understood this thing, let us see multiple other applications that I've applied. So rather than writing an actual VLOOKUP function, we were able to get the customer name over here without mentioning any sort of function, or we only giving the common column between the two tables. Okay. Now over here, if you see, I have the order ID. In the order ID, if you observe keenly over here, you will see that 2016, 14, 15, these are years that are coming under order ID. Now the end user is saying that I want to extract the year out of order ID. They want to extract the year out of this particular order ID. In this case, what I'll do over here is I'll select order ID. Okay. I will go to transform. The logic that I can think of over here is that year is surrounded by hyphen from both the sides. If you see over here, year is surrounded by hyphen from both the sides. I want to extract the text that is surrounded by hyphen from both the ends. Okay. So in this case, what I'll do is I'll select order ID. I'll go to transform and I'll select extract over here. Okay. In extract, what I'll say, extract the text between delimiters. Delimiter is termed to special signs, bracket, hyphen, space, which are divided, which are used to divide the values inside Excel. Okay, so I'm saying extract the text that is surrounded by delimiter from both the sides, and I've selected order ID. Make sure that you select the order ID and then do this step. Okay, you can see text between delimiter is coming up. I'll select the text between delimiter. I'll tell the starting delimiter. Starting delimiter over here is hyphen. Okay, so I'll manually put the hyphen over here. And ending delimiter is again hyphen. Okay. When I click on OK over here, I have got the order ID, but there is a mistake over here. This mistake has been deliberately done so that I can explain you the difference between transform and add column. If you see over here, when we go to the transform bar and we make this change, it makes changes in the existing column. I cannot afford to lose my order ID because it's a very important column for me. Okay. Now, how to make this thing roll back? There is no undo option available in Power Query. At the right hand side, you will see query settings. Okay. If they don't appear by default, you can go to the View tab at the top, and in the View tab, you can turn on Query Setting. Okay. Whatever queries I'm applying on this particular data set, on this particular sheet, to be precise, are mentioned over here. Renaming, removed, expanded, merged, all these columns are mentioned. Disclaimer: never remove anything from the middle because these functions are interdependent on the previous function. So everything will stop coming. Okay. Always start removing from the bottom. Okay. So when I click on the X over here, okay, you will see that this is gone. Okay. So I can cut the steps from the applied steps option over here. Okay. Now I have the order ID, right? I want to do one thing. I want to extract year, okay, without losing the order ID. Instead of doing this step under transform, we will do this step under add column. As soon as I do this step under add column, what happens over here? So when you click on extract over here, okay, I'll do extract text between delimiters. Okay, I'll say starting delimiter is hyphen and ending delimiter is hyphen again. Okay. Transform, as I repeat, is making changes in the existing column. Add column will create a new column for this change. So when I click on OK, you can see a new column coming up over here. I can rename this column as year. Okay. And the data type can be converted into whole number over here. Okay. So you can select whole number over here. You will get the values over here. Okay. This is how this particular thing works. Okay. Now we have got the year. Okay. I'll go one step ahead. Okay. Over here, if you see order ID is coming up, I want to extract 111682 from order ID. Okay. Now 111682 has to be extracted. I have some options over here under extract. I have a text after delimiter and text before delimiter. Take an example. I do a text after delimiter. If I do a text after delimiter, it will start from the left hand side. Okay, it will consider the first delimiter and give me 2014-133690. The main agenda, now you can say, Dhruv, I can keep on doing this again and again, right? But try to understand, I have, maybe in this scenario I don't have, but in normal scenarios I have millions of record. Adding steps increase the cost of processing. I cannot have that much processing. I have to do steps in minimal repetitions. So I'll do a text after delimiter, and I'll say that from the left hand side, okay, it will give me the text after delimiter. There is an advanced option if you see over here. In the advanced option, I'll say number of delimiters to skip is 1. Okay. As soon as we click on OK over here, the extra value will come at the right hand side. Okay, you can see all the numbers are coming up. Okay, you can again change the data type. So when you click on this ABC, you can select whole number over here. Okay, so this is how I can extract a text after delimiter. By the way, guys, if you make any mistake and you want to go back to the next step, you can always click on the gear icon of that step. There's a gear icon coming in your applied steps option. You can click on the gear icon. It will open that same option again. Okay, and you can make substantial changes. If you want to change the delimiter, you want to change the number of delimiters to skip, all these things can be done. You don't need to cut the step again and again. Okay, the same thing could be done to the merge query. If I would have messed up anything like joining columns, take an example in merge query, I can open by clicking on gear icon and I can go back to the step. Okay, now I've got the text after delimiter. I have the customer name over here. Okay, what I want is I want to split the column. Okay, I want the customer name to be coming as first name and last name. Okay, how to get this thing? I'll go to the home bar. Okay, in the home tab, I'll split the column. Okay, so we'll split the column in two parts, first name and last name. So I'll go to the home tab, click on split column, and I'll say by delimiter. By delimiter means that it will start from the left hand side. From the left hand side, as soon as you get space, it will split the column in two parts. Okay, so by delimiter, and I'll say leftmost. I'll not say each occurrence, because that way if person has a middle name, it will create a new column for that. I'll say leftmost delimiter. Leftmost delimiter means that it will start from the left hand side. As soon as it gets a space, it will divide the column in two parts. Okay. So when I click on OK over here, customer name will come as customer name 1 and customer name 2. I can rename it as first name and this one as last name. So this is your splitting of columns. We saw merge queries. Okay. We saw extracting values from a particular column, and then we have seen how to split a column using a delimiter. Okay. Now we'll go back to the people table over here. You can see this is my people table. In people table, as mentioned before, there are 4 people or 4 customers who have been picked from the customer name column that belong to different region. I've taken example, the end user says, Dhruv, I want to add the customer ID over here. That's an important column. I cannot avoid missing that. How to extract the customer ID over here? I'll go to home. I will click on merge query. Okay. I'll say person from the people table. Merge query is already done, so I'll do it a little faster this time. Person from the people table matches orders table customer name. These are the common columns between the two tables, person name and the customer name. You will see 4 out of 4 rows have actually found their values in the first table, okay, in the orders table. When I click on OK, I'll get everything over here. What I require is the ID of the customer. Okay. So I'll say customer ID. I'll select that and I'll click on OK. Again, the same problem, repetitions will come up. Always remove repetitions or duplications from the ID column. There could be multiple Dhruv Singhs in Kotak Mahindra Bank, but I will have my unique account number and my CRN number. So always remove it from the ID column. Right click on customer ID and select remove duplicates. Okay. You can arrange the column, so you can click on it and drag it towards left. Okay. Double click on this thing and rename it as customer ID only. Okay. This is your, again, a small repetitions of your merge query. Now let us go to the orders table now. Okay. What changes can we do in orders table? We'll see that. Now we'll talk about the ship mode over here. If you see the ship mode, we'll see a replace value application. Okay. Now the client is saying that Dhruv, over here we have standard class. I have started calling it as diamond class. So from the next update, it will come. For now, can you replace the value? So right click on the value that you want to replace and click on the replace value option over here. Okay. You can just replace by you can just replace the value by clicking on it. And you can mention that I want to replace the standard class with diamond class over here. When I click on OK, it will be replaced. Okay. So you can see the standard class, wherever it was coming in this particular column, has been replaced with diamond class. Okay. Same way, date is very strong in Power Query. You can extract any and everything out of date. You can go to add column for this because I don't want to make changes in the existing column. In add column, I'll add a date over here. Okay. I'll add the date like year. So when I add year over here, it will extract year out of order date. It will always come at the extreme right. Okay. You can again click on order date. If I want to extract, take an example, month, name of the month, take an example. Okay. I can click on name of month over here in the same option under add column. When I click on name of month, it will come at the extreme right over here as month name. Okay. I can again go to date. I can extract the quarter of the year. It will come at the right hand side again. You can go to order date again and go to week. What week of year is it? Okay. We have 53 weeks in a year. If you click on week of year, it will give you the week of year at the extreme right corner. Okay. What else? I can again click on order date and I can extract the day. Okay. So what day of week it is? First day of the week, second day of the week. Okay. That can also be done. So Monday will be considered as the first day of the week and Sunday will be the last day of the week. Okay. And order date, you can get the day name over here. You can see name of the day. So if I do a name of the day, I'll get Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday like this. We'll see the values at the extreme right hand corner. Okay. What else can be done over here? There's one important thing that we can do is age. Take an example. The client says, Dhruv, I have given a warranty of 8 years on the product. Okay. I want to check how many products are still under warranty from the date of order till today's date. I want to calculate the age. Okay. So you can see there is an age option over here. When I click on age, okay, it will give me the age in number of days. I want the age in years. So I'll again click on age. You will see that now the duration will highlight. Okay. So this duration is coming in number of days. If I click on total years over here, it will start coming at the right hand side as total years. For convenience, you can convert this data type into whole number. Okay. Now you have the absolute figure. How many products are above 8 years of age? Okay. So above 8 years of age and under 8 years of age, you can see the values. Okay. This is how you extract the age out of the order date. Okay. Other than that, I can also add conditional columns. So I can write a condition over here. I can write a if condition over here. How to do that? I can go to add column again and I'll do a conditional column this time. In the conditional column, what I'll say, now I'm building a ID for each and every ship mode that I have in my data. Okay. I'll name this column as ship mode ID. Okay. I'll name it as ship mode underscore ID, just a naming convention. And I'll say that the column name is equal to ship mode. If the column name ship mode equals to first class, okay, it will be considered as 10001. That is the ID that I've given. I'll add a clause over here. I'll say if ship mode is equal to second class. Okay. Make sure that you write the same format as values are mentioned. We follow case sensitivity by default. Okay. It will be 10002. Add clause. Okay. If ship mode is equal to diamond class. Okay. I'll write it as 103. Okay. In the else card, I'll add 10004. So for the remaining values, it will be having the ID. Okay. So I have a same day also over here. For same day, what we'll do, 10004. Okay. As soon as we click on OK, you'll have the ship mode ID column over here. I'll convert it into a data type whole number. So I'll click on this ABC123 and convert it into whole number. Okay. This is how you can add conditional columns into your data. Even if you want to add an indexing column, you can add an index column. So take an example, I had returns over here. I want to add an indexing column over here. Okay. Indexing is good for data retrieval and increasing the performance. So I can add an indexing column. In the indexing column, I can start either the indexing from 0, 1, or put a custom indexing over here. Okay. I will go to index column. Okay. And I select custom over here. In custom, I can see that the starting index is 1000 and increment will be 1 value at a time. Okay. When I click on OK over here, we'll get the values as indexing over here, starting from 1000, incrementing 1 value at a time. Okay. That is how you add indexing column over here. Okay. These are some basic things we can do. Other than that, basic calculations can also be done over here. Okay. Over here, if you see, I have taken example sales. Okay. I can control click and select sales, and I can control click and select discount. Okay. And in this particular part, you can see there are some standard application. I can do a add, multiply. I'll do a subtract. If I do a subtract, I'll get the sales after discount, but you have options to divide integer, do a modulo, or do a percentage off. We'll do a basic subtract, and I'll get the subtraction between the two values. Okay. You can also do something called as column from example. Okay. I've taken example. I have segment over here. Okay. Or I have state over here. Okay. I want to do a column from example. Okay. I'll do a column from example. In column from example, I can manually mention what I want, and Excel will try to understand that column without coding. Okay. So I'll say that I want over here category. Okay. That is furniture. Okay. And what else do we want over here? State, that is Kentucky. Okay. When I click on OK, you can see over here, there is a new column that has been derived, which holds, okay, the category and the state. Okay. So you can see all the state names are coming up over here. So custom columns can also be built over here. This is a thing that doesn't require much of coding. You don't need to worry about it. You can have a combination of number, ID, and a value. So that sort of things can also be done. Okay. This is called as column from example. You manually mention one example and then click on OK. It will create accordingly for you. Okay. What else do we have over here? There is one thing called as text related functions. Okay. So I select segment over here. In the transform, you will see over here something called as format. Okay. In format, you can convert the entire text into lowercase, uppercase, capitalize the starting of each word. Okay. Trim will remove like if I say leading and trailing empty spaces. So if you have space at the starting of your text or ending of the text, you can do a trim. Clean will remove non-printable characters. Adding a prefix will add a value at the starting of your text, and adding a suffix will add a value at the ending of text. I've taken example, I have segment over here. After every segment name, I want to write segment. Okay. So I'll write segment like this. Okay. When I click on OK, after every segment name, segment will be mentioned. Okay. So these sort of functions can be very helpful for your part. Okay. We have unpivot, pivot, all these options are also available over here. Okay. So these options you can try later on. Okay. Once I'm done with all the data cleaning, all the data transformation, I'll click on close and load. Till now, you couldn't save the file because you are still in the process. It's just like you are at the security check of the airport. Okay. Now, once you pass the security check, you are inside the airport. So when I click on close and load, the data will start loading up. Okay. So at the right hand side, you will see all the sheets are loading up. Okay. All the sheets have come up over here. Okay. In future, if you want to edit these sheets, you can right click on them and click on edit. If you click on edit, it will take you again to the Power Query. Okay. Once you are done with the particular transformation, you can again do a close and load over here. Okay. There is also a query option that will be always floating at the top. Okay. You can do the edit option from here also. Okay. You want to delete a query, you can do that. You want to refresh it from the source, it will refresh the data set and bring fresh data set from the source that we are connected. Currently, we are connected to Sample Superstore. Okay. Merge, append, all these options are available over here. Okay. This brings us to the end of Power Query topics. Now, after the introduction to Power Query, we will start with basic functions around Excel and how to do basic functionalities around it. Okay. I have a small data set that will be again available on your material part. I'll show you how to format this data set, how to do some basic application around this data set. Okay. Now over here, if you see, I have the first name, last name, country, quarter, salary. Okay. Their reporting date. Okay. There are some undefined columns which we will fill up later on. Okay. First, what I'll tell you over here is to get the arrangement of the values proper. Okay. So I can select this particular cell, take an example. If I want to format it, I can either format it manually where I can select these cells. Okay. I can put a color over here. Okay. So I can add a color. I can change the text colors over here, increase the font size. Okay. If I want, I can center align these things. And if I want to adjust the column size, I can increase the width by these values. Okay. You can see we are adjusting the width of these values. Okay. If I want a certain column to be center aligned or left aligned, I can do that same. Okay. So we can center align or left align the values depending on my requirement. Okay. Over here, salary is of what data type? Salary is a money data type. Okay. I can define salary as a currency by changing the data types over here. So I can click on this general and define money as currency. Okay. Basic application, changing the data type. You can see as soon as I defined it as a currency, it has a rupee sign next to it. Data formatting will be by default available to your region, but you can always change the currency over here. Okay. So you'll see there is a accounting format option. You can click on the drop down. You can choose from the most common ones and go to more accounting formats. Okay. You can add the symbol, you can choose. Mind you, this will not convert any data type over here. This will just add a symbol to your existing value. Okay. So you can choose any particular value of your choice. Okay. In this case, if I say that I want English, okay, and I'm saying Canada. Okay. So English Canada, dollar sign will come up. When you click on OK, dollar sign will be there at the left hand side. Okay. You have the reporting date over here. If by any chance Excel doesn't recognize it in a date format, you can change the format to date. Take an example, salary is coming in absolute figure. We don't want decimal sign at the back of the salary. Above in the home tab itself, you will find an option to adjust the decimal places. You can increase the decimal places or you can reduce the decimal places. Okay, as per your requirement, you can adjust that. Okay. You can see even comma option is available. You can adjust the commas, you can remove them or adjust them according to your requirement. Okay. Adjusting the decimal places will be done by this option. What else can we do over here? If I want to make a certain value bold, change the font size, all these options are available. There's also a option for diagonal orientation. Okay. Take an example. If I want the quarter or the country name to come in a diagonal orientation, I can do that. Okay. So I can arrange it in this orientation format. Okay. I can change it. I can make it vertical tab. I can make it as per my requirement. Okay. This depends on the text that you're using, and sometimes you do have this requirement. Okay. There's also an option of warp text over here that you'll get. If I turn on this option and reduce the space, okay. So what happens with warp text is if you remove it, values will start going towards the left hand side. And if you add it, it will take another row for it. You can add the existing row size. They will always try to fit in your viewpoint. Okay. They'll never go towards the hidden part of the cell. Okay.
So that is what warp text mean over here. Okay. As mentioned in the PPTs also, you have the cell location coming at the left-hand corner. Whichever cell you select, that particular location will always come at the top left. So you can select a value and you can see cell location will come along with the combination of the column name and the row. Okay. You also have options like merge and center. Okay. Merge and center is generally used when I want to merge two values together. Okay. So that is an option. I've taken example. I have total cost over here. Okay. I want a bigger cell for it. I can merge and center these two values together. Okay. And then center line this thing, make it a little bold, adjust the text sizing, make the text color as white, and the background color as a dark blue. Okay. So this will indicate the total cost. I can do it throughout these values and do a merge center. Okay. So I'll get the total cost in a little bigger cell. Okay. Because two cells have been merged together. Okay. You, there's also an option for borders. If you want to add borders to your table, you can select your table over here. Okay. In this specific option, you'll get the options for border over here. Okay. You can add bottom borders, top border, left, right. You can choose no border, or you can choose all borders over here. If I choose all border, you will see all the values will have proper highlighted borders. Okay. What else? If I want the total salary, take an example over here. I can select this particular cell and do auto sum. Okay. What else? Sorry. What else? We can select this particular value. I can remove the merge and center for now. Okay. I can merge and center at least this cell for now. Okay. And do a auto sum over here. Auto sum will automatically. So this is your auto sum option. Okay. Auto sum will automatically select the range. You can see there is a pre-created function called sum, which is used to sum the values, is equal to starts the formula E2 till E17. So E2 is the starting over here and it is going till E17. When I click on enter over here, you'll get the values as 47,004. Okay. Again, you can center align this value. You can align it towards left depending on your requirement. Okay. I'll make it as bold because it's a total and increase the font size. Okay. Again, I can add my custom currency over here. Okay. I think that got removed. We can add it in dollar sign. Okay. So that is how we can add the total. Okay. This was for the total customer. I'll just rename it as total for now. Okay. Now take an example. Now I'm stuck in a situation where I want a column at the starting of A, which denotes total customer. So I can always select this thing and I can go to insert option over here. You can see there is an insert option coming up. Okay. I can insert an entire sheet column or a cell over here. I want a column, so I'll insert it. Okay. You can see as column has been inserted. I can move that total figure over here. Okay. We can arrange these values. I can remove whatever was there over here. Okay. And make the formatting simple. By the way, I have to remove everything. Instead of removing, I'll copy the formatting of a basic cell. For this one, I'll use Format Painter. Okay. I'll select Format Painter. I have selected other cell and I'll paste the formatting over there. Okay. I'll be back to normal. Okay. I'll name it as total. Again, this total was showing me the total salary. This one will show the count of customer name. Okay. So we'll select first name over here, do a merge and center. Okay. I want to show the total customers that we have in our data. Okay. So for this one, what we'll do is equal to, okay. I'm using a function called as count, but count is limited to numbers. Okay. So it's a basic function to count the values. We'll do a count A instead. Okay. So count A is used over here. This one, I'll write it over here. You can see the formula bar. Okay. This is mentioned over here. So I can add a function called count. So I'll say count. In order to select a function, always click on tab. Okay, tab works over here. What do I want to count? I want to count the value from the beginning till the end. Okay. When I select this value and click on run, it will give me the count. Okay. So this can count the text value. If you do a simple count, it will have a problem. Okay. I can make it bold. This will show me the count of total customers that we have. Okay. I have the first name. I have the last name. If I want to change the general text of these particular values, again, I can adjust the sizing, make it bold as per my requirement. In the cell also, if I want to format the cell in a certain value, I can do that thing. I have quick format option available over here. Okay. So I can choose any formatting option and reformat according to your requirement. Okay. When I was formatting, you could see over here. So when I selected the formatting option, you will see over here, it is asking, does your table have header? I say, yeah, my table has a header. Okay. When I click on OK, you will see that this has been considered as a header. There's a mistake over here. I didn't select the first name, last name. Okay. So we'll do undo again. I'll select all the values over here. Okay. Format as table and I'll select this thing. Okay. I've said my table has a header. It will be considered as a header. Okay. So first name, last name, country, all these values are considered as header. You can choose from multiple options that are available over here as per your requirement. Okay. So whatever requirement you have, according to that, you can choose the values. Okay. You can see automatically a filter application also came up over here. Okay. When I did a format as a table. Also the column header over here has gone to table design. Okay. So I can adjust that thing. I can adjust the table design from here. Okay. I can remove or add the header row. I can even add the total row over here. You can see total values are coming at the bottom. I already have it, so I'll not do that. I can adjust the last column. Okay. I can put banded columns over here. So whatever columns you'll select, now columns will have a gray, white, and gray area. Okay. You can see banded rows is selected by default, so it is coming like this. Okay. Gray and white for the rows. Okay. You have a filter button option. If you want, you can remove that because we'll see how to manually add that first. Okay. Other than that, I can also add a slicer to this particular table. Okay. So we'll click on insert slicer and I can add a slicer on country, take an example. Okay. When I do that, I can slice and dice the data as per country. Okay. If I want to do a multiple selection in this particular data set, I can click on this arrow and we'll select Australia. We'll get Australia and India too. Okay. UK also. Okay. This is why, because I've selected multiple select. Okay. You can uncheck this option. Then we will have only a single select over here. Okay. If you want to filter out the data, we'll filter it out. Okay. So that will clear the entire filters. Okay. You want to remove this thing, you can do a cut over here, or you can remove this particular part. Okay. Let us come back to the home tab. So in the home tab over here, we were seeing the data type. We saw, so a percentage style is something that will add percentage sign and multiply the values like by 100. Okay. I'll try to add this over here. Okay. I'll try to add this particular part over here. For now, we are concentrating on the values that we have. Okay. So I've calculated the total count of customers. We have the total salary over here. We have the reporting date. Okay. I have told you about format as table. You have cell styles also available. If you want a certain cell to have a style, you can do that. Okay. So if you want, like, I select all the headings. Okay. And I want the headings to be appearing in a certain manner. I can say that this is heading one, heading two. Okay. So you can see there are multiple formats that are available. You can even choose gradient formats for this. Okay. As per your requirement, you can select these values. Okay. So these are pre-created formatting for a certain purpose that can be done. Okay. So if I select accent over here, you see an accent coming up. Okay. Values will be shown up. You can adjust the text size as per your requirement. Okay. So we have seen format as a table, right? We have seen the cell style. Conditional formatting is also available. I'll see that detail in the coming part. Okay. So hold on a second. As mentioned, you can insert cells. So you can insert cell over here and you can insert row over here. I want to do an entry in this table. Okay. If I want to insert a particular row, I can say insert sheet rows. Okay. So now it is considering it as a column header, but we can click on the format painter and make it look like a normal sheet. Okay. So it will be back to normal. Okay. Now over here, first thing that I'll do is I will write a name. Okay, so because I've created this thing, so I'll write some name over here. I'll mention the details. Okay, I'll say Q or 3. I'll mention the scenario over here. Okay, I think the data type has to be mentioned. So I'll add the data type too. Okay, I will convert it into dollars. Okay, over here, the reporting date option is there. I'll just add to. I'll put it as 25/08/2014. Okay, so we have got the values. Okay, now once we have done this thing, once we have seen the insert option, you have delete option. You can delete a cell, you can delete an entire row, you can delete a column. So take an example. If I want to delete the total column, okay, I'll select that. I'll go to delete and I'll say delete sheet columns. Okay, that is gone. Okay. Format options are available. You can do a auto row, auto height. So if I want to select, or if I don't want to manually pass the row height and column height, I can go to format. I can say auto row height. Okay. Same way, I can go to format and I can say auto column width. Okay. So as per requirement, the width will be adjusted. Okay. Does not, you can see hide and unhide options are there. If I want to hide a certain row, okay, I can hide that. If I want to unhide something, that also options are available over here. Okay. Now, after this, I will show you where here auto sum is done. Fill is something that is a slash fill. We'll see that in the coming time. Okay. We have a clear option. Okay. Clear is something that can clear the data. So our entire data will be deleted in that particular value. So if I select a clear all, take an example for a certain values. Okay. And go to clear and do a clear all, it will be gone. Okay. It will show you do the undo over here. Clear formatting will only clear the formatting of that particular option. So it will be back to normal. Okay. So you can do a clear formatting also. Clear content will delete the clear contents only. Formatting will remain. Okay. Other than that, if you have any hyperlink associated to your data, you can do a clear hyperlink also. So it will remove hyperlink from all the data that you have copied. Now I can select these tables again. Okay. And we will do a sort and filter. Filter is normally used if I want to do the filtering of the data. So you can turn it on by this, or you can use a shortcut called Control Shift and L. Okay. So Control plus Shift plus L will give you a shortcut for filter. You can also click on it and uh, turn on your filters. Okay. So you can select this sheet and turn on filter options over here. You can see filter options are now coming on the sheets. Okay. How to use these particular filter options? Let us see that. Up over here, I can filter out the data on the basis of text. We will see each and every data type filter at once. So first I'll select first name over here. In first name, I will apply the text filters. Okay. So text filter could be applied it as city name is first name is there. So I'll say name of the person is Dhruv, does not equal to Dhruv, begins with D, ends with V, does not contains RU, okay, R and U letter, does not contain A, does not. Custom filters are also available where you can write these codes. Okay, so you can put and an or condition and do a custom filter over here. Okay, does not that filters related to text that we have seen. Okay, what next do we have over here? The next thing that we have over here is the number data type. Text we have seen. Now we will see a number data type. What are the filter options available over here? Okay. So you can see that I have number filters option. By the way, sorting is also available into this same option. You can sort from smallest to largest and largest to smallest depending on your requirement. So if I sort it from largest to smallest, you can see the values coming up. Actually, it is also considering the total as a part of the filter. Okay. So at the time of adding the filter, you can uncheck that thing. Okay. So take an example when I am adding the filter over here. Take an example. Does not. Now over here, we have done a filter option. Okay. Now that problem will not appear. Okay. So we can do a largest to smallest and smallest to largest. It will consider the first value. Okay. So that's the reason it is coming up, but you can sort it as per your requirement. Okay. You can always remove the column if you don't want it. Okay. So this is how it is coming up. Okay. You can always remove the sorting. This is just to analyze the data quicker. Okay. In this particular option in your salaries, you have number filter options. In number filters, you can do a equal. You can do a does not equal to. Okay. You can do greater than and equal to, less than or equal to, between a certain value. Top 10 will show you top 10 values. Above average will show you the values that are above the average figure. Below average will show you the below average figures. Okay, so if the average of a certain value, so take an example I'll do over here. When we do above average, average is coming somewhat above, I think, 6,50,000. Okay, or 6,40,000. Okay, so it is showing you the values above that. Okay, if you want, you can remove, you can clear the filters on the salary. Okay, so what are the values over here? Above average, below average, top 10. Top 10 will show you the top 10 values. Okay, you can see over here. It will show you the top 10 values over here. Again, you can cut the filters on this thing. Okay, it will show you the salary coming up. Okay, it will show you. Other than that, you have again the custom filter options available where you can put and or condition and get the values accordingly. Okay, it will show you. It will show you. What else do we have over here? See, after the number filters, the next thing that comes up is date. Okay, in date, I can apply multiple date filters over here. You can say date is equal to before, after, between, tomorrow, today, yesterday, next week, this week, last week, next month, this month, last one, next quarter, this quarter, last quarter, and likewise. Okay. You can even get a year to date over here. You can also get all dates in the period of quarter 1, 2, 3, 4, and month wise also. Okay. Again, because date is there, in the date filter, you can also filter out the values in hierarchical order. Year, it will show you, and date. Okay. So you can filter out the data as per hierarchy is what I'm telling you over here. Okay. So that is how the date part works over. So these are the filter types that we saw. We saw one for the text, we saw one for the number, and one we saw for the date. Okay. This is how they can aid your analysis and help you filter better on the data sets. Okay. Find and select option is there. Okay. You can click on find and select. Okay. You can find a certain value. So if I say find Dhruv, okay, when I click on find all, okay, it will tell me that it is coming on this particular cell. Okay. It will show you we have a replace value next to it. Find and select has replace. So I can say Dhruv's. Okay. And I can say replace it with capitals. Okay. So when I click on replace all, the done work has been done. Okay. It has been replaced. Okay. So that is how you can actually filter out the data sets. Okay. And you can obviously replace the values. So you have find over here. You have replace, direct option to replace is there. Go to is there. Go to special if you want to go faster. You have formulas, you have comments, conditional formatting, data validation. These are some shortcuts that are available, but we will see these things in one by one. Okay. Now, once I'm done with this thing, I'll go back and we'll see a little bit of conditional formatting on this data set. Okay. Basic first. Okay. So I'll select the values. Okay. I will go to conditional formatting. Okay. And I'll say I want to conditional format the salary. Okay. So over here we have the salary mentioned, right? You can conditional format this thing. Okay. On the basis of data bars, on the basis of data bars over here, or on the basis of color schemes. Okay. You can see values are coming up. Okay. I can even write the rules over here. Okay. In the conditional formatting itself, you can go to color scales. Currently, I've selected color scale. You can go to manage rules over here. Okay. So I can actually write a rule by clicking on manage rule. You can see graded color is coming up accordingly. You will click on edit rule over here. By edit rule, you can change the rule over here. You can see 3 color scale is there. You can manually tell them that what is your lowest value. Okay. So if you want, you can pass a number over here. I'll select on the arrow. So below the number, right, when you change the data type number, you'll see 0 over there. Okay. You can click on this arrow and you can say that your minimum value is somewhat around 49,000. Okay. That is your min value. Over here, they have given min as green. I'll give it as red. Okay. Then again, I will say that middle value is also a number. So I'll choose that number. I'll click on the arrow and I'll say middle value is somewhat around 3 lakh. Okay. Again, we'll click on OK. I'll give yellow as the color. Highest value, I'll say highest value is again a number. Color would be green, obviously, for that. And we will give this thing as 6,50,000. Okay. So when I click on OK over here, this rule is saved. When I click on apply over here, this rule will be auto applied. Okay. So you can see we have changed the existing rule that we had in the data set. Okay. Highest value around 7,80,000 is coming green. Anything above 650 is coming green. Anything around 150 is in yellow shade. And you have the red shade over here. Okay. That is how you can do a basic conditional formatting on the data set. Okay. Now going on further, we will do some calculations, basic calculations to get the answers to these questions. Client is saying that he wants the date today. Okay. So we'll write a function to get the date today. I'll say is equal to. Is equal to is the marking of your function. And I'll say today. When I click on today, you can see the suggestion is coming and it is saying that it returns the current date formatted as date. Okay. So date for today. Okay. When I click on tab over here, okay, the data type will come up. You can change, like you can close the brackets and click on enter. It will give you the date today. Okay. Now, if you want to do a flash fill, you can see over here, there's an arrow coming up. This will convert to a plus sign. When it does, you can double click on this thing. Okay. So when you double click on this thing, I think it has not yet traced the path. I'll put two values. You can do a manual trace. Okay. So when you do that thing, you can drag it like this. Okay. So manual one, sometimes the automatic function doesn't work. So you can do a manual trace. Okay. So this is how you can actually do a flash fill. Okay. You can fill the values by dragging them. Okay. You can also do a control E as per your requirement. Okay. So you can see over here, sometimes it works. Okay. Sometimes it may misbehave. So you can drag it. Okay. In the sort and filter, in the options over here, right? You can sort the data. Now I've got the date today. I want to get the age in years. Okay. In order to get the age in years over here, how to do that? I want age in years between the reporting date and the date today. Okay. We'll write a formula over here is equal to year. Okay. So I'll say year of reporting date. I have to select reporting date. Okay. Minus year. Okay. Of date today. Okay. Then I close this bracket and click on enter. It will give me the age. Age is coming in negative. You can do the formula opposite. Okay. So you can say year of G2. G2 is the day to day, right? If you don't want to select, I'll show you manually also. G2 minus year of F2. When you run this query, you'll get the answer as 11. Okay. So that is how the value comes up. Now you can see when I did a double click, you are getting the flash fill over here. Okay. All the years are coming and the values are changing. If you see G2 and F2, second row it became G3 and F3. It became G4 and F4. What I want to tell you over here that the referencing, okay, is changing in the flash fill. Why is it changing? Because I have not given it a absolute reference. It is a relative reference that is here. When you mention G2 and F2, it means that when I drag it down, right, it can become G3 and F3. Okay. If I want a value to be fixed, what to do in that case? Okay. I've taken example. Okay, I have the age. Okay, and I have a formula over here for increment. Okay, so I'm saying depending on the user's age, I'm giving 0.75 for every year that they have spent with me. 0.75. Okay, so I'll write over here uh, increment percent. Okay, and I mentioned that the increment percent is 0.75. Okay, for every year that they have spent with me. That is my value. I'll just formally like put some formatting over here so that's visible. Okay. What I want is I want to multiply the number of years with this increment. Okay. Now you'll see a problem. When I write this thing, when I multiply the age over here, okay, into the increment percent, okay, that is P15, okay, and run this query, I'll get 8.25 increment. Okay. Up over here, when I do a flash fill, I'm getting 0 over here. What could be the reason for that 0 to come up? If you see the formulas one by one, you'll see H3 into P16. H3 is perfect, but P16 is not even a value. P17, P18, like this, it will keep on happening. See, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 23. So it's not a proper answer. Okay. In order to get this answer proper, I'll do one thing. When I'm writing this formula, right, I'll make changes. I'll make this referencing as absolute. Okay. So to fix this thing, right, I'll put a dollar sign over here. Now what happens when I run this query? You're getting the answer same as it is. When I do a flash fill over here, you can see the values got multiplied. Okay. Why did it happen? Because I have made the row fixed. P15 is fixed over here, guys. See, can you see that? Okay. So that's the reason values are coming proper over here. Dollar stands for absolute referencing. Okay. So over here, I wanted to fix the row because the row was changing. Okay. If I drag it towards the right, okay, you will see that H2, okay, H2 over here has become I2. Okay. And the Q is something that has come. 15 remains 15, but P has become Q. Okay. Why did it happen? Because the column was not into absolute referencing. Okay. So if you want everything to be in an absolute referencing manner, if I want the P and Q to be fixed, okay, then what I'll do, I'll put a dollar sign. Okay. Now what happens? I get the answer properly. Okay. Obviously, I don't have anything in age in days, but if I'm able to calculate, it will multiply with I2 and give me the P15 equivalent of it. Okay. So I'm just giving you an idea. Don't go into the complexity. I'm just telling you that if you want to fix for a vertical part, at that time you put a dollar sign at the row. When you want to fix for a horizontal change, okay, for a horizontal slash fill, then you fix the column. Okay. Putting dollar sign over here means absolute reference. Okay, so normally what happens is absolute reference means that the value will not change either ways. If you put dollar sign on both column and row, no problem. You can save it for future circumstances. It will not affect the performance. Okay, so over here like this, we got the increment. Okay, and we saw what is the difference between absolute referencing and relative referencing. Okay, and we have got all the values over here. I calculate the age in days. Okay. So I'll say is equal to, I want to calculate the age in days. I use a function called DATEDIF over here. Now, DATEDIF is not available by default in Excel. Okay. So you need to write it on your own. Mind you, this spelling will be date and S will be only one over here. Okay. After that, DATEDIF, you have to put the dates over here. Okay. So I'll put the reporting date. Okay. And I'll put the date today. Okay. Reporting date may be written as table 3 reporting date, but don't get confused. It means the same. Okay. Then you can just pass over here and close the bracket. So over here, there was one thing we have to put a D. Okay. And D has to be in double quotes. Okay. When I run this query, I get the age and days. Okay. You can scroll this down and you get the values over here. Okay. So these are some basic functions that we have done on the Excel sheet. Okay. We saw some basic formatting options. We saw filter options. We saw how to create dates. Okay. How to change the data types of values. We saw age in years, age in days, increment, doing a default summarization, adjusting the conditional formatting, adding filter sign, manipulating the clear sign over there. Okay. Adding filters. Okay. Inserting rows, inserting columns, okay, format painter use cases, okay. Also, we saw about absolute referencing and relative referencing, okay. We'll keep it till here. We'll continue in the next part. Now, in this particular part, we will be looking into visuals on Excel, okay. As you can see, this is a data set that I've taken, and I will start with the first visual. We'll see how to create a pie chart over here, okay. So I'm taking the entire data, but what I want on the pie chart is city-wise the revenue. I'll go to insert and I'll select a pie chart over here. You can see there are multiple types that are available. We'll select a 3D pie chart. Okay. By default, this particular pie chart currently is showing you a certain value, but this is not what we require. Okay. So I'll go to chart filter. Okay. In the chart filter, you will see at the bottom right, you'll have an option to select the data. Okay. So I'll click on select data. You can see I'll say that I want to see city wise only the revenue. Okay, so I'll cut the stores, I'll cut the rent, I'll cut the operational cost, profit, you can see contribution and customer. Okay, you can see click on OK. This particular visual is showing you city wise revenue. Okay, so you can always choose the entire data set, but you can choose the values that you want so that later on you can add or remove. Okay. Now, once we have done this thing, what else can we do over here? You can see chart styles are available. You can see multiple chart styles are available that we can use. Okay. Other than that, you can go to formatting option. You can see and adjust the chart title. Currently, if you see chart title, do you want it above? Do you want it center overlay? Or do you want any other option? I'll first do one thing. I'll write over here. I'll say revenue by city. Okay. So when I mention revenue by city, this is how it's showing up. If you want to do any text related function on this thing, you can again go to the formatting option. You can go to chart titles, and in chart title, you can go to more options. Okay. So in the more options, you'll get text option over here. If you want to change the text color, you want to make it black. Okay. You want to change the color, you want a gradient fill, you want a pattern fill, you want to adjust the transparency, add an outline to your text. Okay, if you want to add any solid line or anything, you can add from here. Multiple text related shadow, reflection, glow, soft edges, 3D formatting. All these options are available over here. Okay, so you can choose anything out of your choice. Okay, you can see alignment of text is also available. Do you want the custom angle? Do you want it in horizontal? You want to rotate it to 90 degree. So these sort of options are available that you can adjust from. Okay. Other than that, the title options are available where you want to fill the title. Do you want the border on the title? Do you want any sort of solid line around it? Anything like that of sort can be adjusted from here. Okay. So all the formatting related settings are available over here. Okay. For the title, if you want to go title, if you want to go text, you can adjust the text over here. You can see after this, what I can do is I can adjust the data label. Now, data label are by default available inside, but you can do a factor over here. You can add data callouts over here. When you add data callout, this is how the title like values will show up. Okay. You can adjust the data callout over here. Sorry. You can adjust the data callout by going to the formatting option, data label, and you can adjust the data callout over here. Okay. You can see. Now, what else can we do again in the data callout? If you want to go to more options, want to adjust the text, These are the text and the label options available over here. Okay, you can see. Other than that, over here, if you see, we have legend option. Legend shows what color stands for what. Okay, in legend 2, you will get options. Do you want the legend at the right hand side, top, left? Any option that you want to do, you can do it accordingly. Okay, you can see in the formatting option, you can see these are the different sort of formatting that are available to your visual. Okay, you can format it in any manner of your choice. Okay, you can even adjust the colors inside your bars. Do you want a specific color shade? It will come in that manner. Okay, as I mentioned, filter is available to filter the values. If you want to see for a particular city data, you can do over here. Okay, and if you want to select the data, that option is available over here. Okay, this is all about your pie chart that we can create. Okay, now after the pie chart is done, I will show you how to create a bar chart on this data. Okay, again we'll select the data set, bar chart. I'll go to insert and I'll create a bar chart over here. Okay, bar chart. We'll take a 3D column chart. Okay, again the values are not specified yet, but I want the revenue and the final profit to be compared on this particular bar chart. Okay, we'll select this chart, go to filter, go to select data. Okay, now over here you can see all the cities are showing up, right? Currently the color is dependent on city. I'll switch the row and column. Now the color is dependent on the store revenue and profit. I'll cut the store. I will keep the revenue. I'll remove the rent. I'll remove the operational cost over here. Okay, and I will remove the contribution. Okay, and I'll remove the customer over here. Okay, so we have revenue and final profit only over here. When I click on OK, you can see revenue and profit being compared parallel to each other. Okay, on a particular bar chart. In this part, you can see formatting options are available. You can choose your chart as per your requirement. Okay, you can go to added formatting option. You can add axis title. Okay, so in the axis title, what I can do, this is my what? This is my city. Okay, so I can mention over here. You can just click on it and change the name. So I'll keep it as city. And this one will show revenue and final profit. Okay. After adjusting these things, what else can be done over here? You can go to formatting option. You can turn on the data label. Okay. You can see data label is indicating the values. You can also turn on data table. Data table is something that is very helpful for better clarity. You can show the revenue as per city and the final profit. You can see all the values are coming over here, revenue and final profit. Okay. So that is how the values show up. Okay. You can even, so filter options you have seen. If you want to filter out any city, you can filter it out from here. If you want to select any data, if you want to change the data in future, that can also be done over here. Okay. This is your visual. Also, if you want to adjust the title, okay, formatting options will remain the same, guys. You can always go to the title option, more options, and adjust the formatting of your title. Okay, I'll say city, I'll say sales and profit by city. Okay, so that is how we can rename this particular visual. Okay, this is your sales by city. Okay, so we have the revenue by profit, we have sales by city. Okay, all the values are showing over here. Color changing, if you want to do, you can do from the options available at the top too. Okay, you can compare these values and you can change the color as per your requirement. Okay, now once we have done this thing, okay, we have multiple visuals that are available. Okay, I will show you one more visual over here that is called as Pareto chart. Okay, this is also a very interesting one. Now in order to understand a Pareto chart, I'll go to sheet 4. Okay, I'll do one thing, I'll take some values. Okay, I'll take it on a new sheet. Okay, I'm removing the store column for now. I have the revenue and rent. Okay, I want to compare this on a Pareto. Okay, I'll go to insert. In the insert bar, we will go to the histogram, and this is your Pareto. Okay, what you see is the visual contribution and comparison between the between the city-wise rent and revenue. Agra, on the other hand, has the highest revenue, and comparatively, now these are not values, these are the relation between the values. So what is happening over here is we are showing the proportionality over here. In proportion to the revenue contributed, the rent is the lowest. Second is the city of Kochi. Okay, 9,90,000 and the rent is 90. Individually, the rent could be higher, but when you're comparing the revenue contributed, okay, in comparison to that, the percentile that comes up is the second highest. Okay, so Pareto is something that is showing you that there is a proportionality over here. Okay, that is increasing as the gap between the revenue and the rent is increasing. Okay, so this is how you can use your Pareto chart. Okay. Now, once you're clear with this thing, we'll go to the next part. Okay. I have these data. Okay. Year wise, I have X product, Y product, and Z product sales. Okay. We will take this data set and I'll show you how to create a line chart using this. Okay. So in order to create this thing, I'll go to insert. I'll take a line chart over here. There are multiple available. I'll take a 3D line chart. Looks interesting. Okay. Now you can see I have XYZ product on different color. Year has also come up over here. Okay. I didn't want the year to come this manner. Okay. So I want the year to show up over here somewhat. Okay. So in this case, sorry, in the X-axis, in this case, we will go to the formatting. I will go to select data. Okay. I'll select year and I'll switch it. Okay. I'll put it at the right hand side. Okay. This didn't go that way. So what we'll do, I'll select the year and I'll remove it for now. Okay. You have XYZ product. In the year option, in order to do the year option, what I'll do is I will edit the values. Okay. So I will put a value over here. Okay. So I'll select a range that is year from 2014, 15, 16, and 17. Click on OK. You can see the values are showing up now. Okay. You can remove the year column. Oh, sorry. You can remove. Let me add the Z product that got removed by mistake. Click on OK. I can see the Z product. I think the X product got removed. We'll do one thing. I'll make it from the scratch. I think there is some issue that has come up. I'll select all the values again. Okay. We'll go to insert line chart and I'll select a 3D line chart over here. Okay. In the formatting option, I'll go to select data. I will cut the year. Okay. I will edit this thing, add the axis. So I'll add the years over here. Okay. Click on OK. You can see XYZ is coming up over here. When I click on OK, now we have year-wise XYZ product. Okay. All the values showing up properly. None. You can even adjust the sorting over here. If you sort from smallest to largest, you can see the values will come properly over here. Okay. 2014, 15, 16, and 17 coming up. Formatting options, what you see over here is access titles that you have already seen. You can add data label. You can add a data table. Obviously, data table will be very helpful on a line chart. Okay. User can see XYZ product analysis on the basis of the data table over here. Okay. I can name it as time series analysis. Okay. So that is how a line chart is created. Also, you can play around with the styles and other options that are available. Okay. So there are multiple style options that you can see at the bottom. Okay. You can play around with them. You can adjust the text. You can adjust the value size. Everything can be done from the formatting options under the more option over here. Okay. I think I'm just trying data callout will become very clustered. So no need to add it. Data table will be more than enough for this part. Okay. This is your time series analysis using Excel. Okay. Now the next thing that we are doing over here is we have the XYZ product. okay, 2014 to sales over here. I'll just convert this quickly into a table, okay, format as a table. So we have the values over here. I'll show you how to add Sparkline to this existing data. Okay, it's an interesting feature and it can be an add-on to your existing data. You can quickly adjust the data. You can quickly sort the data and the values will show accordingly. Okay, so I'll adjust all the values. Okay, for the Sparkline, what you need to do is you can select these three boxes. Okay, go to insert and insert, you will see there's an option of line. Okay, you can tell them the data range, that is B2 to D2. You can say B2 to D2 and the location where you need to drop it. Okay, this is my location. When I click on OK, this is how this is coming up. Okay, 2000, 6500 and then 2,50,000. Okay, you can again just select this thing like that. Okay, so now you can see all these values are showing you the values accordingly. In these particular Sparklines, you can adjust the last point, you can put the first point, you can even show the high point and the low point depending on your color. Okay, adjust negative points, add markers. You can adjust the Sparkline color, you can adjust the marker colors also. Okay, the high point can be denoted with a certain color, the low point can be done, first point can be shown with a certain color. Okay, last point can be shown with a certain color. So this is how you can adjust these colors and create a sparkline. It indicates the trend, that's it, on a particular cell without adding a line chart. Okay, in this one you can play around with the columns also, so that same line will become a column. You can add it like a win-loss basis or as a line basis. Okay, line gives the best clarity, so you can use this thing. Okay, this is your sparkline that we have seen over here. Okay, most of the basic used bar charts and values we have seen. I'll show you one more over here. Okay, now in this data, what I'll do is I'll take city and the stores, or I'll take this sheet. Okay, this one, I'll make the Pareto over here. I have the city wise revenue. Okay, in this visual, what we'll do is I'll add a tree map over here. So now what you can see is city-wise how much revenue is contributed by each and every city. The tile size indicate the more the contribution of sales, the higher the tile size. Sales over here means the revenue. Okay, so that can also be adjusted on that particular value size. Okay, this is your city-wise revenue that you have over here. You can always try different styles. They're available over here. Okay, you can adjust it from here, or you can add all the values like data labels. You want to show more data label options, you can see that from here. Okay, currently it is showing category name. If you want to show the series name also, values also, and the series name also, you can do that. Okay, so you can see now it is showing proper values. Revenue Agra, revenue Kochi, all the city names are shown up. Okay, this is your tree map that we have over here. Okay, so we saw tree map, we saw Pareto, we saw how to create a bar chart, we saw how to create a pie chart, we saw how to create bar charts over here. Okay, we saw how to create sparklines. Okay, then we saw line chart also. Okay, these are some basic visuals that will be required by you. Okay, that we have seen. Okay, now we'll see conditional formatting and pivot tables in detail. Okay, so we have a data set over here. Again, we are using the XYZ product. Okay, first I'll conditional format this data. Okay, we'll see multiple types that we have available. First one that I'll do is I'll be using the normal color scales. Okay, so this is based on color scales. Again, as mentioned in the previous part, we had seen the color scales and we had adjusted them using rules also. So you can do the same. You can manage the rules by going to edit rule option. Okay, you can put a 3-color scale and adjust the rule. So lowest value, minimum value can be manually entered. The third type of conditional formatting, the second type of conditional formatting over here is you can go to data bars and add data bars over here. Okay, this can be done. Okay, so first we saw color scale. Then we have data bars. Then the third type that we have over here is icon sets. Okay, so you can put up icon sets over here. You can see these icon sets are coming up. In icon sets, again, this is interesting. You can go to manage rule. Okay, edit rule. You can see I can put the icon set of all the values. So it is saying that the icon set is over here. This is the set style. Okay, I'll say that from greater than, okay, 55%. I'm keeping the icon as green flag over here. Okay, then I'm saying when the icon set is from 55 to 40, I'm keeping the icon set as exclamation mark. When it is lower than 40, we are keeping the exclamation mark as red flag. Okay. Okay. In the green, if you want, you can put something else. I'll put a tick mark over here. Okay. 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 And this value, I'll keep it as 25. 25 is better. Okay. Now when I click on OK, now when I apply, you will see conditional formatting has been done. Okay. So this is how you can do it for the values over here. Okay. So this is how it is showing up. Now when I, so you have on the basis of color scale, you have on the basis of bars over here. Okay. And then you have the basis of icons over here. Okay. Now once we have done this conditional formatting, we'll go to the next part. So three types were there: bars, color scale, and icon sets. These are done. We'll go to sheet 2 now. Okay. In this particular sheet, we'll see how to make pivot tables in Excel. Okay. So how to derive pivot table in Excel, we'll see that. I'll select this entire table. I'll go to insert. Now when I insert at the left hand side, you can see there's an option of pivot table. Okay. So I can insert this pivot table over here. I'm doing it on a new worksheet. Now when I click on OK, a new worksheet will be created. Okay. Now how to add values over here, we'll see that. Okay. So I'll add first name in the rows. Okay. Now when I country above the first name in the rows. Okay. Salary goes in the values. Okay. Quarter goes in the columns. Okay. So you can see quarter is coming in the column over here. Quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4. Total is coming at the right hand side. Okay. Now when inside each and every country, you can see the name of the customers. Okay. And we are seeing the sum of salary for these people. Okay. Now in this particular part, what you can do is, so if you see pivot table analyze, you can insert slicers. Okay. I can put slicer on country. When I click on OK, I'll get a slicer over here. In the slicer too, you get options to adjust the slicer coloring. Okay. So now when I do that, you can select a particular country and it will show up like that. Now you can uncheck the selections. Okay. After this part, what else can be done over here? Now I'll again select the pivot table. Okay. In the pivot table analyze option, you will see there is a timeline slicer. Now timeline slicer is something that very less people know about. Okay. If you have something related to date, in this case we have reporting date. Okay. Then you have an option. Only then and only in that condition will timeline slicer highlight. Okay. So I can select the insert timeline slicer. I can click on reporting date and I can click on OK over here. Okay. Now you can put the timeline slicer like this. I'll put the other one a little side. Timeline slicer helps me filter the data in an hierarchical format. I can put it in years. Okay. So I can see a particular year data. Okay. I can put it in quarters. I can see inside years, we can choose as per quarter. So quarter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can choose on the basis of quarter also. I can choose on the basis of month. So inside every year, you can see there is a toggle option I can choose. Then I can choose on the basis of days. So we can select each and every days as per value. Okay. This is how this particular function works. Filtering made easy through hierarchical format. Okay. I can select 3 years. In those 3 years, I can select maybe quarter from this particular year, quarter 4, till the third year's quarter 1. Okay. This way we can actually filter the data. Okay. and get the values accordingly. Okay. So in the pivot table, normally whenever I want to summarize huge amount of data, then we use this thing. Okay. It will make your data lesser. You have seen how I've added the values. Normally in the pivot table, quantitative values will go in the value column as the name suggests. If you put multiple rows, you will see options for drill down will be available. So you can click on the plus or minus icon and accordingly the values will show up. Okay. That is how the entire part works. Okay. Now we'll look into the basic functions of Excel. Okay. What you see in front of you is a sheet, and I have some basic functions, and then we'll go a little further on that. Over here, if you could see, there is product-wise cost mentioned, percentage mentioned. By the way, percentage is coming in 0.25. You can click on the percentage column and click on the percentage bar over here. So you can see 100 gets multiplied and a percentage sign comes at the back of it. We have the total over here, okay, and we have the total over here. I'll do some basic sum over here first. So in order to get the total of cost, I'll do is equal to sum, okay, tab. Then I have to select the cell values. So I'll say from B2 till B13. When I run this query, I'll get the values over here. That is 32,49,000. For the average, we'll do the same thing. For average, I'll say is equal to, and we'll say average. Average of what? Average of these values. I'll select them. Average of, okay. We'll click OK, close the bracket, and then click on run query. This will give us what? Average sales. Okay. So I've got the total. I've got the average over here. Now I want to know the count of products. Again, as mentioned before, in order to get the count of text, we will use a function called count A. Okay. This will give us the count of the text over here. I'll close the bracket, run the query. We'll get a count over here as 12. Okay. So we have got the count over here as 12. We are getting the values over here. Now, basic things we have done. Okay. Over here, if you see, there is a product finder that is there. Okay. Whatever product name I put over here, it will return the particular product's name, particular product's value or the cost. That is the layout that I've designed. But I have to get the values over here. Okay. So in this particular layout, we'll change the values. Okay. First thing first, I'll show you how to add a drop down from product. Okay. So if I want to add a drop down for the product, how to do that? Okay. Over here in the product finder box, I want that the product name should be a drop down. Okay. You'll go to the data pane, and in data pane, you'll see over here, data validation option. Okay. I'll select the data validation option. In this part, we'll say list. Okay. I'll put the list over here. So I'll select this thing. Okay. I'll put the list is coming up. I'll put the click on OK. Okay. Now I can select a particular product name from this list. Okay. Accordingly, the values will show up. I want to know the price of this particular product selected. So in this case, what I'll do, I'll say is equal to, I'll use a function called VLOOKUP. Okay. VLOOKUP. Normally, when you write a VLOOKUP, it will ask you what value are you searching for. We are searching for the product HP over here, which is on, I think, Q11, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, Q11. That's the product name. Then it will ask you for the table array. The table array is this thing. Okay. Then it will ask you what column index do you want. Okay. I want the cost of the product. So I'll say column index number 2. Cost of the product is second column. Okay. After that, once you are done with this thing, there's also one more option. Do you want an approximate match or do you want the exact match? Okay. So if I pass a false over here, it will give me an exact match over here. Okay. When I run this query, we'll get 1 lakh as an answer over here. Okay. And I again select this thing. If you select Lenovo over here, it will give 1,50,000. Okay. If you select Samsung over here, it will give 25,000. Now you would have observed this thing that this particular value is always giving you the first repetition. So Fritole, right? Fritole is I think only one. If I select HP over here, take an example, it will show me the first value of HP. Why is it happening? Because VLOOKUP will only search for the first value over here. By chance, you can say that, Dhruv, I want the total to come up. Okay, so if I select HP, it should show something like 1,49,000. Okay, how to do something like that? So I'll create this advanced product finder. Okay, over here, clear everything, whatever coding we have over here. So I'll go to the home tab and clear. And the first thing first, I'll add a product finder. Okay, so I'll go to data. I'll go to data validation and I'll pass a list of values. The list will be obviously selected from the table given over here. So I'll select the list and OK. Click on OK. Once you have selected the values, you can see all the values are coming up. OK. Now what we'll do is I'll just do some formatting for this thing so that it's properly visible. I have the name of the product. I want the values to show up the same result. Okay. That to summation. So we want the sum of the values to come up. Okay. How to do something like this, we'll see that. So for sum total, I'll use a function over here called SUMIF. So I'll say is equal to sum if. Okay. It will only sum when the condition is matched. Okay. So first I'll give range. Okay. This is my range. Okay. This is criteria. Criteria is that it should match this value. Okay. And then the sum range. Sum range is obviously this one. This is okay. When I close the bracket and run this function, you will get 1,49,000 over here. Okay. You can align it at the center. You can increase the font size. So this is the value that we were looking at. This basic formatting can be done. You can add a $sign over here and reduce the decimal places. Okay. It's showing 1,49,000. Okay. This is now what I want is if the sales is greater than 3 lakh, okay, it should say good. And if it is less than 3 lakh, it should say bad. Okay, so just a basic condition that I want to apply over here. For this, what I'll do, I'll write an is equal to if. Okay. This is if condition we'll use over here. If will first ask us for the logical test. So I'm saying if this particular cell, okay, is greater than 3 lakh, then what? It should result me true value, right? So I should get good over here. This is okay. Else what should I get over here? Bad. This is okay. When I run this query, it will return a bad over here, okay, because it's less. Now we will try to link conditional formatting with this thing, okay. How to do that, I'll tell you. Abhi I have increased the text size, okay. I will go to conditional formatting, okay. I'll say that I want it on a new role. This is cell that contain, okay. Cell that contain equal to, okay. Equal to what? Equal to this value that I mentioned over here, okay. So I can say that the value over here, this is I'll go to manage rules, edit this existing rule. Cell value is equal to bad. If this thing is coming up, okay, I'll format this thing and make it bold. Fill would be red. Okay. Text color will be white. And I'll click on OK. So if bad comes up, this is the formatting that we'll do. Okay. I'll choose Samsung over here. For good, nothing is coming up, right? So I'll go to conditional formatting. I'll choose manage rules. Okay. I'll add a new rule and I'll say it is based on cell that contains. Okay. equals to. Equals to what? Equals to good. I'll choose I can go to formatting. I'll say that the color will be white, fill will be green, and I'll click on OK. Click on OK and click on apply. Okay. When you click on OK, now you can see that the conditional formatting will change as per values. Okay. So you can see it is working fluid over here. If any value is greater, it will show good in green color. If it is bad, it will show bad in red color. Okay. So this is conditional formatting based on a rule. Okay. Last thing is count. Count will show me how many times a specific value has repeated in the data. Okay. So I'll say is equal to count. Count what? Count if. I click on tab over here. Okay. Count if will ask you for the range and the criteria. So I'm counting the product name. Okay. That is my range A2 to A13. And criteria is that it should match the value over here. Okay. When I click on enter, this is how it will show up. Okay. So it is showing you that this particular product Samsung had repeated twice in the data. Okay. If you want, you can select HP. I think HP has also repeated twice. You select something that has not repeated. Okay, Fritole. It has only come once. Okay. So that way you can adjust the data over here. Okay. This is your advanced product finder. Okay. Now what we'll be looking at is called match function. Match function is important in Excel to give the position of the occurrence. Okay. Over here, if you see, I have the name of the person. I'll be putting the name of that person and I'll get the occurrence on the row number. Okay. So normally for the match function, I'll first give the names. Okay. So I'll use the data validation technique that we had used in the previous part. I'll go to data over here. In data, we'll go to data validation. Okay. I'll give a list of values and we'll put the names over here. Okay. Name of the values. Okay. So that end user can get the options to choose from. Okay. Now occurrence of row number is something that we'll do using match function over here. So I'll write a match function. Okay. I click on tab over here. Now it is asking you what value to look up for. Okay. What is the lookup array? Lookup array is obviously this thing. Okay. And what is the match type? Do you want less than, greater than, or an exact match? Okay. So I'll say exact match. We'll click on tab. And when I run this query, it will return 2. Okay. So in this particular part, I'm coming at the second position. Okay. That is what match position done. Okay. Match can also be used to match the passbook details, whether your actual account details are matching your books of accounts. Okay. So if it is less than, greater than, or not equal to, it will result the answers accordingly. Okay. Next functions over here are some string functions that we'll do. Okay. Now we have the first name, last name of that person. First, I'll calculate the full name over here. Okay. I'll use the function concatenate on this particular part. I'll write over here is equal to concatenate. Okay. Concatenate is the function. These are all. I click on tab over here. Now what I'll do is concatenate what? I'll concatenate first name. Okay. With the last name over here. Okay. Now before this part, okay, before concatenate, I want to put a small doctor over here, okay, as a sign. So I want dr to be written. Okay. So I'll say over here dr. These are all. And I'll leave the space after dr. Okay. When I run this query, okay, I forgot to put the comma. I'll put the comma over here. Okay. When we run this query, I'll get the name over here. Okay. You can do a flash fill and all the values will be showing accordingly. Okay. Between the first name and last name also, you can put a space. So you can put a comma over here, put a space. Okay. So you can put 2 inverted commas and leave space in the middle. When you run this query, you'll get the names accordingly. Okay. These are all the details that are coming up over here. Okay. This is for the concatenate over here. Now the next function, what I'm doing is I'm using concatenate and I'm building up for a scenario. Okay. So I'm putting at the rate of gmail.com after every name. Okay. So I'm saying concatenate. Okay. I'll say first name, comma, last name. These are all okay. And I'll put a name over here. I'll say at the rate of gmail.com. Okay. These are all, these are all, these are all, these are all, these are all in the concatenate itself. These are all, these are now all. When I run this query, I'll get this way. Okay. These are all. Drag this thing to the top bottom. You get the values over here. Okay. So concatenate is used for this particular structure. Okay. Over here in the concatenate, I'm finding the first values from the left hand side. We are using a function called left over here. How to use this particular function? I'll use left. Okay. These are all on tab. The text that I'm using over here is full name 2. Okay. From full name 2. Now left will always ask you the number of characters. From the left hand side, how many characters do you want? I said I want 5 characters. Take an example. Okay. Now when I run this query, I'll get the first 5 characters. Okay. You can see all the values are coming. You're getting the first 5 characters from full name 2. Okay. That is your abbreviation. Over here, what I'm doing is I'm doing a substitute for the first time. Okay. And I'm combining if condition over here. Okay. So I'll show you how it works. Okay. I'm saying if the name of the person is Firoz. Okay. So I'll say if, okay, first name, okay, is equal to Firoz. Okay. Then what? We'll concatenate. Okay. I'll do a concatenate over here. Okay. I'll say that concatenate and replace it with, so over here, I'm saying concatenate the first name. So over here, the first name, what I want to do is, instead of putting Firoz over here, I want Salman to be taken. Okay. So I'll say Salman. Okay. And I'll concatenate it with the last name. Okay. That is this thing. Okay. So if it is equal to Firoz, then it will return this. Okay. So that is your true condition. Okay. In the false condition, I'll say if you are not equal to Firoz, right, it will return the same value. That is the full name. Okay. When I run this query, I'll get this answer. Okay. So in this part, what has happened is name is equal to Firoz, right? Firoz. So concatenate L1 with B1. Okay. By mistake, they have considered L1. I'll say L1 and B1. Instead of B1, we should put B2. Instead here L2. That instead of sense. Okay. So you can see Salman Khan is coming up over here. Over here, what I can do is I can add the values. Okay. In the concatenate only, I'll add some more values. So I'll put the abbreviation also over here. I'll say A2. Okay. That will give the abbreviation. Okay. Or if I want to add doctor manually, I'll add over here. I'll say DR dot. I'll leave some space between L2 and B2. We'll leave some space and I'll click on run query. Okay, let me just check. There was a comma expected. I have put a dot over here. Okay. Okay. You can see the value is coming. So I've said if the first name is equal to Firoz, we'll concatenate with it like with L2. Okay. And if it is not equal to Firoz, you give the name as it is. Okay. Over here I messed up. I put C1, so that's the reason it's coming. Now it is proper. Okay. So if first name is equal to Feroz, concatenate, you'll put doctor over there. You'll put L2 over here. That is the value that you want to put. That is Salman. Then you put the last name over here. That is B2. And if it is not, then you return B2 as it is or C2 as it is. Okay. This is giving us the new name over here. Now we have a function for length also. Length is pretty simple. We have a function called len that will give you the length over here. Okay, so you can write this function len. Okay, it will ask you what text do you want the length of. Okay, so I'll say full name too. Okay, and you can run the query. It will return you the length over there. Okay, so length is coming accordingly. The way you have left, in the same manner you have a mid function over here. Mid function on the other hand will print the value from the middle of the text. Okay, so I've taken example. What text do you want? I said I want full name too. Okay, after the text it will say what is the starting number and the number of characters after that starting number. Okay, so I'll say starting number is 6 and the number of characters after that is, I'll say starting number is 2 and the number of characters is 3. When I run this query, you can see over here starting number was 2. So 1, 2, okay, you're getting the values after that. Okay, so ER, you're getting the 3 values after 2. Okay, so we are getting the 3 values after the second position. E is the second position, R third position, and fourth is the O over here. So 3 values. Okay, so mid is something that is used to extract the value from the middle of the text. Okay, in the same manner we have repeat also. Okay, repeat is used to repeat the values. You're getting the first repeat will ask what do you want to repeat. Okay, so I'll say repeat. Okay, what do you want to repeat? I'll say I want to repeat the abbreviation. Okay, how many times do you want to repeat? I said I want to repeat 2 times over here. Okay, so when I run this query, it will repeat the values as many times you have mentioned over here. That is how the repeat function works. We also have a find function over here. Find is normally used to find a particular text. Okay, we are finding the position of at the rate of. Okay, so I'll just write this from scratch. Find will generally ask you what do you want to find. Okay, so find text, I said I want to find at the rate of position. Okay, within what text? Okay, within this full name too. Okay, and what do you want the starting number to be? Starting number is not required. Okay, when you run this query, it will give you the position. Okay, so at the rate of is coming 10th position. You can count it over here: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so at the rate of is coming at the 10th position. That is how this particular thing works. Okay, this is it regarding the text related function. Now we'll be looking into some logical functions over here. Okay, logical functions are mostly condition based. Okay, so we'll see how they are applied. I have the first name, last name, country, quarter, and salary. First, we'll get the AND function over here. Okay, so in this AND function, I'm saying that it will return true. Now, AND is a function that requires both the values to be true. So if I want the answer as 2, both the conditions have to be true inside it. Okay, so in the AND function, I'll say that country is equal to India. Okay, second condition is that quarter should be equal to Q1. Okay, so both the conditions are true, only and only then it will return you a true. Okay, else it will return you a false. Okay, so you can see false is coming. Again, conditional formatting has been applied. For true, the text is coming in green color. If I go to home and I go to manage rules, you can see over here the first rule that has been applied. If cell value is equal to false, okay, then the value color is coming in yellow and the text is a little darker than that. Okay, same thing has been done for cell value true. This is something that we have done previously also. Okay, that's the reason I'm showing you. If the cell value is equal to true, then it is coming in green color over here. Okay, so accordingly we have done the conditional formatting over here. Okay, now over here we are doing an and if. Okay, I'm applying if with the and condition. Okay, I'm saying over here if. Okay, and then I'm writing and condition over here. I have to put an is equal to. So if, okay, and, okay, and after writing the and condition, I have to write the condition. So I'll say country is equal to, okay, C2 is country, so I'll say India. Okay, comma, quarter or your D2 is equal to Q1. Okay, if both the conditions are true, so over here in the AND condition, I'll close the AND condition over here. Okay, I'll say if it is true, right, it will say result found. In the else condition, I'll say not applicable. Okay, okay. When I run this particular query, it will say like this. Okay, so whenever your condition will return an a true condition, it will say result found, else it will say not applicable. Okay, so that is how this particular function is working. This is called as if and and. Okay, next function that we have over here is or. Or is something that will return a true if either of the two conditions are true. So I'm saying if D2 is equal to Q1, let me write this thing also. I'll say is equal to, okay, or, okay, I'll say if D2 is equal to Q1, okay, and salary is greater than, okay, 4,50,000. If either of the two conditions are true, it will give me true, else it will give me a false. So for a false, both the conditions have to be true. And for a true, either of the two conditions have to be true. Okay, so you can see the values are coming accordingly. Okay, if you see over here, quarter one, most of the values, right, that are returning in true, I will do a little change in this condition. I will put over here, rather than 4,50,000, I'll put a 2 lakh. Now you'll see multiple values will come true even if they are not quarter one. If you see this record, this is of quarter 4, right? But because it is greater than 2 lakh, it is returning a true. Okay. Same way over here, this is of quarter 3, but because it is greater than that value, it is coming as true over here. Okay. So that is how the logical functions work over here. Okay. Now we'll see some basic functions in Excel. Okay. The first function that I have over here is a sum function. Okay. I'll say is equal to sum. I know you guys have done it for a like many times in the previous parts, but we'll quickly revise this thing. So in sum, you have to give the range. Okay. Put it inside the sum function. When you run this query, it will give you the sum over here. Okay. In the same manner, you can multiply the values. Okay. Take an example. We have P1, quantity and cost over here. I want to multiply the quantity and cost to give the total over here. Okay. So in order to do that, I'll do a is equal to, okay, I'll multiply the quantity, okay, into the cost over here. Okay. When you run this query, you will get the total answer. Okay. You can drag this thing down. Okay. So this way you'll get the quantity. Just a basic application of multiplication over here. Okay. Then we have average over here. I'll do an average. So I'll say is equal to average. Okay. Average of what? Average of all these particular values. Okay. When I run this query, I'll get over here 82.6. Okay. That is how the average works. Next thing over here is min. Okay. So I have the student name, and according to that, we have to find the minimum marks that are obtained. Okay. How to do that? In order to do something like this, what I'll do is I'll write over here is equal to min. Okay. Min will ask you for the details of numbers. We'll give the numbers over here. When I run this particular query, it will give me the minimum marks obtained. That is for Shilpa, that is 65. Okay. So min will return the minimum value. Average will return the average value over here. Product will return the multiplication, and sum will return the sum of values. Then we have the max function over here. So how to write max? I'll say is equal to max. Okay. I'll pass the range over here. Okay. And we'll close the range. Okay. When I run this query, it will give me the maximum value in the series. In the similar manner, I have a count function which is used to count the values. So count, as I mentioned, it will only count the numbers. So I'll pass the numbers over here rather than passing the student name. Okay. When I do a basic count over here, it will return you the numbers. Okay, the count of marks. Count A, on the other hand, is used to count the text values. Okay. So how to do that? I'll do a count A. Okay. I'll pass the values over here. So we'll pass these values. Okay. Close the query and we'll get the count A over here. Okay. As the difference spotted over here, count A can count the text. Okay. Also, I'll just show you one more thing. Okay. I'll do a count over here and I'll count the marks over here. Okay. When I run this query, I'll get 4 over here. Count doesn't count the blanks over here. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So you're getting 4 over here. If you want to count the blanks separately, you can use this particular function. Okay. So if you see over here, I'm using a count blank. Okay. So I'll say over here is equal to count blank. Okay. Count blank, and I'll pass the range over here. Okay. If you run this particular function, it will give me the blank over here as 1. Okay. So that is how count works over here. Okay. Count is something that is limited. Okay. Like normally what we have seen is limited. Okay. If I try to pass this value over here, okay, you'll see over here that count A will also give you the same answer. Okay. It can be used, but it will still not count the blanks. Use for text, use for numbers. Okay. Count only for numbers. I have a COUNTIF over here. In the COUNTIF, I'm counting the male and female counts. Okay. How many males do we have in the data and how many females do we have in the data? I'll write over here is equal to COUNTIF. Okay. Range is obviously this thing. Okay. Criteria is that it will equal to F over here. Okay. When I run this query, I'll get the count of female. When I run, obviously it's for the male. Over here, I'll write the code again. I'll write it as COUNTIF. Okay. COUNTIF. I'll pass a tab over here. I'll pass the range. Count. Okay. Count criteria for male would be M. So I'll pass the M over here. Okay. So male count is coming to 3 over here. These are some basic functions that we have seen over here. Okay. Now we'll see VLOOKUP function. Okay. We have seen some iterations of it, but we'll see it in multiple parts. Okay. I'm trying to do a lookup from a different sheet. Okay. The name of these people are available in this particular sheet, multiple sheets we have it. Okay. Now I'm trying to do what is I'm trying to get the details about these people. Okay. So I'll just create a demo sheet over here. Okay. I'll say first name and salary is mentioned over here. Okay. We'll use this sheet. So I want to get the salary of the people. Okay. From a different sheet. I'll say that I will write the VLOOKUP over here. Okay. In the VLOOKUP, I'll say that the value should match A3. Okay. What is the lookup value? Lookup value is this particular string. Okay. After that, they'll ask what is the column index that you require. I want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th column index. Okay. Then they'll ask you whether it's an approximate match or an exact match. I'll pass false over here for exact match. Okay. When I run this query, I'll get the answer over here. Okay. I can drag this down and I will accordingly get. So this is an example of a VLOOKUP from a different sheet. Okay. We are considering a different sheet for this VLOOKUP. Okay. The next one over here is VLOOKUP from a different workbook itself. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll take this logical sheet. Okay. I'll copy it and I'll open a new Excel sheet. I'll paste these values on a different workbook itself or in a different Excel sheet. I'll paste after doing this particular part. Okay, this you can see is completely blank. I'll open the previous one that I was working on. Okay. I'll paste this one, how to fetch the details, I'll show you. Okay. I'll say over here is equal to VLOOKUP. I'll click on tab. What is the lookup value? This thing. Okay. And what is the table array? For that one, I'll open the different sheet. This is my table array. Okay. I'll paste, then it will ask you what is the column index that you're looking for. It's the 5th column that I'm looking for. Okay. And I want an exact match over here. I'll run this query. I'll get the value. So Harish is not available over there. Okay. We'll drag. Only Jia was available. So we are getting the value for Jia. Okay. If Harish would be available, it would have fetched. Jia was available. So we have got the value. You can see over there. Firoz, Hari, Jia. Okay. So over here, what is happening? I'll paste. We are getting not for Harish, but Hari I can get. So if I change it to Hari, I can get that. Okay. Same way if I change it to Firoz, right? I'll paste and get the values over here. Okay. So this is the values that we have fetched from a different Excel workbook. So first one was a different sheet. Second one is a different Excel workbook. Okay. Basic VLOOKUP functions we have already seen. Okay. We'll keep it till here for the lookup part. Then we'll go to the next function. Okay. Now we'll be looking into what if parameter in Excel. Okay. What you see in front of you are the mid-sem 1 marks, semester 1 final, mid-semester 2, and semester 2 final. Now this person requires 70%. Okay. He's asking what will be the value that I should get, or what would be the marks that I should achieve in semester 2 final, or should try to achieve in semester 2 final, that I get 70% as my goal. Okay. My final result should be 70%. Currently, I have applied an average over here. So this is the basic average of 3 values that I'm getting. Okay. In order to do this thing, I'll go to data. Okay. Over here, I have a what if analysis. Okay. I will do a goal seek over here. Okay. In the goal seek, first thing is what cell you want to set. I said I want to set the B6. Okay. To what value do you want to set? I'll say till 70%. Okay. By changing what cell, I said I want to change this particular value. Okay. So I want to change the B5 value over here. As soon as I click on OK, it will tell me that I need to get 95 in my semester 2 final if I want to get 70 as the average. Okay. What if analysis is based on giving feedback from the user and accordingly calculated. This is a dynamic calculation. Okay. In future, I can keep on changing this thing. So I've taken example. If I say that I want to get the value as 75 over here. Okay. I want to get 75%. How to do this thing? Again, I'll go to data over here. I'll go to what if analysis, goal seek, set which cell, B6 to 75% by changing this particular cell. Okay. When I click on OK, you will see values have been changed. Now I have to achieve 115, which is not possible out of 100. Okay. So somewhere or the other, I can achieve 70, but 75 is achievable. Okay. This is called as goal seek. Okay. I've also put a passing marks at 65 over here. If he's getting more than 65, so I've put a condition over here. Okay. I'll write it down for you. I'll say if, okay, I'll write final result is greater than, okay, I'll write 65. Okay. Okay. I'll write what? Pass. Okay. I'll write else. Okay. I'll write. Okay. You can run the query. You can see currently it is coming at 70, like less than 65. So he's failed. If you put a what if analysis for goal seek, that this person, okay, was fetching for values 70, okay, by changing this particular cell. Okay. Okay. When I click on OK, this is how it will run. Okay. Okay. So this person is passed now. Okay. Basic what if analysis. Now the next condition that I have over here is called scenario manager. Okay. In this particular scenario manager, what I'm doing is I have the price mentioned, quantity mentioned. Okay. Okay. Total sales price of the product. Okay. Okay. Total cost price of the product. Okay. City, cost price, total cost. Okay. And profit. Now price is the price of the article, okay, single article. If you multiply it by 150, that is the total sales price that I'm getting, okay, B2 into B3, okay. Transportation cost is something that is variable, okay. You could see over here, okay, it is coming, sorry, transportation cost is not variable. It is coming as per 193. 190 is the value that we have considered for maybe the fuel into B3, okay. B3 is the quantity. So value is, I think, on the weight, okay. So 190 into the quantity that we have over here, that is getting the transportation cost. We have the city over here, we have the cost price. So cost price is technically the half, okay. We have divided the B2, okay, that is your this value, by 2, okay, and we have 25,000 by 2, and we are multiplying it with the quantity. So half is the cost price, and total price that we have is B7 plus B5, okay. So we are adding B7 plus B5. Transportation cost is also something that we'll add. This is what we are paying from the pocket, okay. So we are paying 37.78 lakhs, okay, and total product price is 75 lakhs that we are selling on a profit, okay. So the profit that we have made over here is mentioned, okay. Now we have created a scenario manager over here, okay. Okay, I have put it on the basis of quantity. I keep on getting like orders daily. So if I get an order for quantity 25, I can do a quick maths over here, okay. I'll show you how to create this thing, okay. I'll create for a quantity 10, okay. So I click on add. I'll name this scenario manager as quantity, okay, okay, and okay, by changing the cell B3, that is the quantity, okay. When I click on OK, it will ask me what is B3 equal to. I'll put over here 10, okay. When I click on OK over here, quantity 10 will be created. If I click on quantity 10 and click on show, it will show me the price on the basis of 10. Again, I can add this thing, okay. I can say quantity 15, okay. I'll say equal to 15. When I click on OK, quantity 15 will be created, okay. I can click on quantity 15 over here and click on show. It will show the values accordingly, okay. In this part, I can also ask for a summary. So scenario summary if you want, right? So when I click on OK, this is how the summary will be creating, okay. By changing the cell B3, okay, that is the quantity, you can say when the quantity is 15, this is the total price. When the quantity is 25, this is the total price. When the quantity is 30, accordingly, we are getting the total price over here, okay. This is your scenario manager that we have designed over here using what if parameter, okay. I hope you're clear with this thing. Now we'll be looking into data validation in Excel. I have a data sheet over here. If you see this particular part, you can see when I'm clicking on this option, it is saying enter value in text only, okay. So what happens over here? How does it work? For this, you have to go to data validation option. You can see I have put a data validation which is of custom type, okay, and I have put a formula called is text A11, okay. So over here what happens is I've applied on the first part. In the data validation, this formula has been applied. It will check for text values. Also, I've applied an input message over here. The title of this message is information, okay, and it is saying enter text value only. So this will only entertain the text value over here, okay. Error alert, if you want to add an error message, okay, I can add the title to it, type mismatch, okay. I can say over here, the value is not, okay. I can save this thing. So this sort of data validation will make sure that in this particular column, only text values are coming up, okay. When I click on OK, you will see over here, if I try to put a number over here and try to change, it will say value does not match the data restrictions, okay. So I can cancel this thing, okay. This is happening over here. So if you see, actually I had applied it over for A11 only. So that's the reason it is showing like this, okay. On multiple rows, it will show accordingly, okay. So this is something that we have done on the data validation end. That is for the text value only. The next thing is your values that you have been doing from a long period of time. By the way, I forgot to tell you, but in the data validation, you can manually enter the values also. You never need the values to be entered by someone else. Okay. You can manually insert values in them. Okay. I've taken example. Somebody is belonging to, take over here, admin department. Okay. Admin, admin head. Okay. I can put it over here. When I click on OK, that will also be added to this particular part. Okay, so you can add values as per requirement. You can see admin head is showing up. There is also a data validation. In this particular data validation, you have to make sure that this is a list. Okay, and you're having the drop down over here. Okay, so this is how this particular part is working. Okay, this is your list type of data validation. The next data validation over here is something that will not let me enter the values above a certain number of numbers. Okay, so length is fixed over here. Okay, if the value goes above that, okay, you can see put your 10 digits phone number over here. When you go to the data validation option, it is said that the data length, okay, is less than or equal to 10. Okay, you can say over here is equal to 10. Okay, so when I say equal to 10, user, if he tries to put something smaller than that also, it will throw an error. Okay, when I click on OK, now if I put more values, it is giving me error. Okay, this is happening through what? This is happening through the data validation of text length. Okay, so that could be something that is very good on to that part. Okay, it is taking 9 digits over here. For the age one also, I have put a data validation over here. In the age one, I've said the age should be greater than 18. Okay, so when I click on OK and I try to put an age lesser than that, it will throw an error. Okay, normally when you apply data validation, it will show after that particular part whatever you are applying. Okay, so that is how this thing works. Okay, these are the types of data validation we have seen over here. Okay, now we'll be looking into forecasting options in Excel. Okay, in this particular part, I have the start date. Okay, and some values mentioned over here. So we have sales as per the year 2007, and I want to forecast the values for the coming dates. Okay, in order to do the forecasting, I'll click on the data option over here. Okay, in data, you will get something as forecast sheet over here. Okay, as soon as we click on forecast sheet, you'll get something like this. Okay, you can get it either on a line chart or on a bar chart. Line chart makes more sense, so I'll do this one. In the option, they have mentioned the forecast end date as 14/02/2007. Over here, we have some options. Okay, first I'll explain you the forecast. There is a line that is coming over here. This is called as the forecast line. Now, normally when the forecast happen, right, if I talk about the weather tomorrow, it will be always between two figures. I'll say that the weather tomorrow will be between 25 degree to around 40 degrees Celsius. Okay, we can never mention a definite value. Okay, I'll say that there will be an upper bound and lower bound value, or the confidence interval. So over here, when I say that 25 and 35 is the degrees, the confidence interval that I'm keeping is 10 degrees Celsius. The forecasting somewhere or the other has to be very believable. If I say that the tomorrow's weather will be between 10 degrees Celsius and 50 degrees Celsius, my confidence interval is very high, that is 40. So if I reduce the confidence interval, the values will become more certain. But you have to understand over here, confidence interval is based on how volatile your data that you're dealing with. If I'm dealing with cryptocurrency or any sort of financial markets, they fluctuate quickly in the market. Your market can go up, cryptocurrency could be in thousands, next day it could be in millions. So you never know. In those cases, the confidence interval is kept high. When you're dealing with coal, fossil fuels, petrol prices, and diesel prices, they fluctuate 3 to 4 rupees max, sometimes 10 rupees also. But the confidence interval can be kept low on that particular part because we know that the fluctuation will not be very high. Over here, if you see, we have the forecast value, the lower bound value, and the upper bound value. Forecasted value is in a darker line, upper bound value is a little up, and lower bound value is the below value. Over here, if you see, seasonality is detected automatically. Okay. Timeline range is mentioned, value range is mentioned. Okay. We have the forecast start, confidence interval. It is currently set to 95%. Okay. If I reduce the confidence interval, you'll see that the upper bound and lower bound values will come close to each other. Okay. So I can either keep the confidence interval high or low. Okay. When I click on create over here, you will see that a line chart will be added. Okay, this is your line chart for the forecasted value, and we have the forecasted value over here. Okay, considering the forecasted value, they have the lower bound value and the upper bound value. Okay, mind you, your particular, if I say it in simple words over here, your confidence interval or the percentage of confidence that you have kept is low. That's the reason upper bound and lower bound values are close to each other. Okay, that is how the forecasting works over here. You can see there is a sheet also that is working over here. Okay, you can go into the chart design and make it a little more intrusive. Okay, and over here, if you see, these are the values. Okay, this is forecasting. Now what we'll see next is how to design a checklist in Excel. Okay, I have some item name. Okay, so this is like a to-do list that we are preparing. Okay, in this particular to-do list, I have some items. Okay, I'll have a checkbox over here. Once all the items from the checklist is selected, then it will give me a yes for ready to go. Okay, else it will give me a no. How to design something like this? For this particular part, first thing you have to add a developer tab to your Excel. Okay, how to add developer tab? You can click on somewhere blank on this particular pane. So you can right click on this thing and you will see that there is an option coming up, customize the ribbon. Okay, so when you right click on this thing, you will see customize the ribbon option will come up. Okay, in customize ribbon, you have to go to all tabs. Okay, or you can say, yeah, you can say all tabs. Okay, you'll see a developer option over here. This is the developer option. Select it and click on add. When you click on add, it will be coming at the right hand side like this. Okay, so it will show up at the right hand side of your data. Okay, when I click on OK over here, this will come up at the developer option. It will come at the top of my screen. Okay, now how to use this for creating a checkbox? I'll go to insert. Okay, I'll take a checkbox like this. Okay, and I'll drop this checkbox onto my data. You can see it is coming like this. Okay, you can increase the size of it. It is saying checkbox 1. Okay, and what I want is that the checkbox obviously you have to do the alignment by your own, so you have to align it a little bit. Okay, it will require a little bit effort. You can cut the name inside the checkbox. You can just go and remove everything. Okay, this is how it will show up. Okay, now in this checkbox you have to right click. Okay, when you right click on this particular checkbox, you will see there is an option called format control. Format control is simply, if I say it in very simple terms, when this checkbox will be checked, where do you want the output to be shown? I'll say when it is checked, okay, the output should be shown on the required cell D2. Okay, you can see it is showing on cell D2. Okay, required, you can click on OK. Now, as many times it will be true, it will show the output at the right hand side. Okay. You can add some more checkbox. Don't copy paste because that will be a problem. Also, don't use ActiveX control, only use the basic ones. So I'll again take a checkbox over here. Okay. Align it. Change the name. Format control, right click on this thing, click on format control and place the checked control at the right box. Okay. When I click on OK over here, it will show a true false accordingly. Again, we'll add a checkbox over here. So I'll go to insert and I'll add a checkbox to this part. Okay. I'm not doing very precise alignment. That could be done later. Whatever is manageable, we'll do that. Whatever rename this thing, remove the name from here. Right click on this thing and I'll say format control, checked, and it will be on the cell over here. Okay. I'll do it again and again. So I'll add one more checkbox over here. Rename this thing. Okay. Format control. Place the checked option over here. Okay. When I click on OK, this is how it will show up. After that, I'll add some more checkbox over here. So I'll go to Insert, take a checkbox over here. Okay. Rename this thing. So you can click on this one and rename. I'm doing it again and again so that you can see the part. Okay. So make sure that you try this thing. I'll pass the format control over here to D6. Click on OK. Insert. Add another checkbox over here. Okay. Assign, like format the control. I'll put it on the checked part over here. Okay. We'll just pass it over here and click on OK. The last one, I'll add another one. Rename this thing again. The only part about this scenario is that all the checkboxes have to be created, because if you try to copy paste, they'll mess up. Okay. So you have to create them manually and assign the particular function over here. Okay. Once they are done, it is easy. Okay. Over here, you can see all the values are coming up. I'll first count the number of items. Okay. So I'll say is equal to count. Okay. And I'll count the number of items over here. When I run this query, I'll get the count as 8 over here. Okay. Now, number of checked item is something for this particular part. I'll use a COUNTIF. Okay. I'll say is equal to count. Okay. If COUNTIF on the range, this one, on the condition, true. Okay. When I run this query, it will count. So currently nothing is true. It is showing 1, showing 0. Now it will show 1, show 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. There's one more remaining. I'll add that also. In the developer option, insert, checked, and we'll place it over here. Click on OK. Now you can see that this COUNTIF will go till D9. Okay. When I run this query, you'll get the values over here. 8 is coming up. Now ready to go is only on the condition when the person's number of checked item is equal to number of checked. Number of items is equal to number of checked. Okay. So I'll say is equal to if, okay, 8, that is B12, is equal to B13. Then what? Good to go. Else item missed. Okay. When I run this query, it will say good to go over here. Okay. You can set align this thing. Okay. And increase size. Okay. If any of the items is not selected, it will say item missed. Okay. So that is how you can do this thing. Okay. This is how you design a checklist in Excel. Now we'll go to the next part. Now over here that you see is an advanced scenario of VLOOKUP. Okay. I have the first name, last name, country, quarter, salary, and reporting date over here in the data. I have the name of some people. Okay. I want to get their quarter details, country detail, and salary details at once without doing major steps. Okay. For this one, what I'll do is I'll say is equal to. Okay. I'll do a VLOOKUP. VLOOKUP generally asks you for the lookup value. I'll say Feroz. That is the name. After that, it will ask me for the table array. I'll give the entire table array like this. Okay. Post that, it will ask me the column index that you require. Okay. Quarter is the 4th column. Now I'm getting multiple columns over here. So I'll put 4 under curly brackets. Okay. That is very important. Then country is third column, so I'll put 3 over here, okay. Then we have salary. Salary is the fifth column over here, okay. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay. So I'll put 5 over here. Close the curly brackets, put a comma, and I want the exact match, so I'll put a false over here. I'll run this query, okay. Now there has to be a simple step involved over here. I'll select all these cells, okay. I'll do F2 over here, okay. And then I'll do a control plus shift plus enter over here. You can see all the values have come up, right? I can drag it down like this and I'll get the values for all the people, okay. You can check. Venkat is over here. You're getting Q2, right? Q2, Bangladesh, okay. And you can see the salary. That is 5,50,000, okay. That is how you do this particular trick. Very simple. You have to do a control shift and enter, okay. Make sure that you select the cell, okay. F2 to freeze the pane, and make sure before doing that you have selected the entire row, okay. Now we'll see how to create consolidated function in Excel. I have a data over here. We have year-wise X product, Y product, Z product, and G product sales. You can see 2014, 17, 18, and 19. On a separate table, I have 2020, 2021, 2018, and 2017 X product, Y product, Z product, and L product. On another sheet, on another table, I have only X, Y, Z product. I want all the values to come up in this particular table. For this one, I will click on the year cell. Okay, so you can see where year is written. That is the A1 cell. Okay, we'll go to the data option at the top. In the data tab, I will click on consolidate. Okay. In the consolidated part, what I'll do is I will first click on this arrow for the referencing. I'll first reference this particular table. Okay. Carefully click on add over here. Okay. Now I'll reference the other table. So again, I'll click on this part, select this thing. Okay. Carefully click on add again. Again, I'll click on this arrow, select this part, and click on add over here. You can see all the values have come up. Make sure, okay, this is one thing that you have to remember. Top row has to be turned on and left column has to be turned on. These two options have to be there. Okay. Once you have done this thing, as soon as we click on OK, you'll see we have the X, Y, Z, G, and L product sales as per year. This is a consolidated data of all the sheets that we had over here. Okay. This is how you use consolidate function in Excel. Okay. Now over here, we will see how to add shortcuts for numbering in Excel. Okay. You can see I have a serial number over here and I want to put around 1,000 values in it. Okay. Rather than dragging this thing, how to do this part. Okay. So I'll click on Alt HFIS. Don't need to keep the Alt turned on. Just click on Alt once and click on HFIS. Okay. In an alphabetic, like in a respectively order. So first select H, then F, then I, then S. Okay. A cell like this will open up. Okay. Alt FHIS is a shortcut for numbering. Okay. You can put columns over here. Make sure that you have selected the cell 1. Okay. Over here. Take an example. I want the stop value to be at 1,000. As soon as we click on OK, you'll see numbering has come up and this will go till 1,000 over there. Okay. So rather than adding manually on the number part, you can add using Alt HFIS. Same way you can do for the date. You can click on the date over here. We have the entry date. When was this entry made? And I'll say Alt and I'll say HFIS. Okay. Step value, it is on day. Okay. We have selected type date. I'll say columns and I'll say that this will end on 5/5/2025. Okay. When I click on OK like this, it will go till 5/5/2025. Okay. So that is how this particular function works. This is called for shortcut for inserting data in Excel. Okay. Now we'll see how to add data from an image on an Excel file. I have an image over here on my screen. We have the first name, last name, country, quarter, salary, and reporting date mentioned. Okay. In order to add image, you don't need to manually pass each and every value. Okay. Instead of doing this, you can open your Excel Online. So you can go to your browser and search for Excel Online. Click on Excel Online. Okay. Then click on Create Blank Workbook. Click on it. In the Create Blank Workbook option, you will go to Insert, okay? Click on it. Go to Data over here. Click on it. In the Data option, you will see Data from a picture, okay? It is available on Excel Online, so we are using it for that part. I'll click on Data from Picture. I'll take the document that I had, okay, and click on Open. When you click on Open, it will analyze the entire document. After analyzing the document, it will ask you to review some records. Okay. So in the review part, you can see over here, India is proper. It has just asking you that is it India written over here, or this is mentioned as QI. I'll make it as quote Q1. This is mentioned again as QI. I'll mention it as Q1. Okay. India is proper. India is proper. Click on accept. Again, it is coming as QI. I'll put 1 over here. Okay. India, India. Again, I'll make it as Q1. Click on it. Reviews has been done. So I'll click on accept. As soon as I click on insert data, okay, you will see the data has been inserted on an Excel sheet. You can save this file, okay, and use it, okay. This is how you upload a picture on an Excel file, okay. Now the next part that we have over here is circle validation, okay. I have Q1 budget as 5,000 and actual spend is 5,500. In the same manner, I have Q2 budget as 4,000, 45,000 has been spent. Q3 budget was 5,500, 6,000 has been done. 8,000 for Q4, and we have got over here 2,000. Okay. I'll just increase a 0 over here. That makes more sense. Okay. So you can see the values are coming up. Now the requirement is that whenever your actual is greater than your budget, okay, you should have a circle to point out that this is going above the particular budgeted value. Okay. In order to do this thing, I will go to my data, okay? I will go to my data validation, okay? In the data validation, I will mention over here, so you can select the entire cells, okay? So you can go to data validation, okay? I'll say custom, okay? In the custom, I'll say that I'll put a formula over here. I'll say that my budget, okay, that is B2, should always be greater than my C2, okay? So budgeted value should always be greater than the actual value, okay? Once you have done this thing, you'll get the validation over here. You can check for all the values, okay? B3, okay? Over here, it will come for B4, okay? Over here, it will come for B5, okay? After doing this part, okay, once you are done with this thing, go to the option over here. You will see circle invalid data, okay? As soon as you click on over here, you can see these many values are more than the budget. Okay. So this is how you do a circle validation in Excel. Okay. Over here, we will see how to transpose data in Excel. Okay. I have the data over here. We have the first name, last name, country, quarter, salary, and reporting date mentioned. I'll take the same data. Okay. Do a copy. Click on the box over here. Right click and go to the paste option. Now, if you observe over here, I have the basic paste option. I have the option over here. Okay. So I'll go to the arrow and below that, I'll see a paste special. Okay. So we are doing a paste special over here. In paste special, I'll click on transpose. Okay. And when I click on OK over here, you'll get the values in transpose manner. So we have the first name of all the particular customers. Okay. We have last name of the customers. Okay. We have the country of all the customers. We have the quarter over here, their salary and their reporting date. Okay. This is how you do transpose in Excel. Now we'll see some advanced functionality on pivot tables. I'll take the data set over here. Okay. First, I'll create a pivot table out of it. So I'll go to insert and click on pivot table. Now the requirement over here is that for every particular value or every particular country in this case, I want a separate sheet. So first what I'll do is I'll drop first name in the row, salary will go in the values over here, okay, and country will be deliberately dropped on filters, okay. If you want to add anything else, like you want to add quarter, maybe you can add the quarter also, okay. Now in order to have separate sheet for each and every country, okay, this could be something that will be very helpful in your scenario. You have to go to pivot table analyze option. In pivot table analyze option, you will go to options over here. Okay. Over here, if you see, you have show report pages filter. Okay. So show report filter pages is what you'll click on. You'll see countries highlighting over here. As soon as we click on OK, every country's data will be created. So you'll have Australia. It's coming to because there was an existing file over here. Okay. I'll click on Australia. You can see Bangladesh, India, UK, and US. Okay. So you can see over here the values are coming properly. Okay. So that is how you can create separate sheet from a pivot. Okay. Now we'll start with the next part. We'll see how to do some advanced functionality in the pivot table. Over here, I have a normal table. First, I'll pivot this thing. So I'll go to Insert, click on Pivot Table option. I'll do it on a new worksheet. Okay. Now over here, I'll drop country in the row, first name in the row. Okay. Salary goes in the values. Okay. Now I want to show it in a table format. So take an example in future. If I want to show it as a table, I can select this sheet and go to the design option. In design option, I can go to report layout and say show in tabular form. Okay. So when I click on this, it will start showing me as a table now, not as a pivot table. Okay. I can, so if you see over here, totals are coming up, right? And if I want to remove that, I can go over here, grand total, turn off row and columns. Okay. And in the same manner, if you don't want to show the subtotals, you can turn that off. Okay. Now over here, if you see Australia and blank values coming up in the middle, I want the values to repeat. So in that case, I'll go to report layout and I'll say report all item labels. Okay. When I click on report all item label, you can see this is coming properly now over here. Okay. You can adjust if you want to insert a blank line after each item, and all these things are also option available. So if you do something like this, okay, it will insert and give a small, space between the two values. Okay. So blank rows could be here added. You can adjust the layout. Okay. If you want a compact form, it will show like this also. Okay. This is completely up to you how you want to show it. In a tabular form, again, it will show like this. Okay. You want to adjust, outline form. You want to show it in. So outline form will show you like this. Compact form, as mentioned, will show you that way. Tabular form will show you like a table. Grand totals can be turned on and off accordingly. Okay. So if you want to turn on, take an example, columns only. So it will show you a grand total on the column part. Okay. From here, you can turn on rows only at the same time. So it will show you rows. Okay. So if you want to turn on or off, you can do it from here only. Okay. This is it, how you can convert a pivot table into tables. Okay. How to convert a pivot table in a table form. Now, in this scenario, we have the in time and out time of the users. Okay. I'm calculating the overtime. Okay. I have the time, and this is a time related function. So we'll see this thing. How to get this thing. If a person is getting overtime, I want to calculate the overtime that we have over here. Okay. So we'll say is equal to, okay, out time I have, right? So let me write an if condition over here. Okay. I'll write an if condition. I'll say if the out time, okay, minus your in time, okay, is greater than, okay, uh, time is a format, okay, 8 hours. So 8 minute is 0 and second is also 0. Okay. So if it is greater than 8 hours, okay, then I'll give a condition over here that will be, obviously I'll have to give the answer. So I'll say B2 minus A2. Okay. And then I'll deduct the time over here. Time 8 hours. How much more we are greater than 8 hours. Okay. Else I'll print a slash maybe. Okay. Now when we run this particular query, I'll get the time over here as, because we are not greater than the overtime, it will come like this. Okay. Over here we are getting, make sure that your format over here is time, then only you'll be able to get. So this person is 2 hours overtime, this one is 4 hours, and this one is 3 hours. Okay. So we can see this accordingly. Okay. Make sure all the values are on time data type and your duration column is also of time data type. Okay. This is how you can calculate time in Excel. Okay. Now in this one, we'll see shortcut of calculation in Excel. I have item price, discount mentioned over here. We have to calculate the final price. In order to do something like this, I'll say is equal to, okay, item price. Now over here, I'll multiply, okay. In the bracket, I'll say 1 minus, okay, 1 minus what? 1 minus C2, okay. When I close the bracket and click on enter over here, you'll get 160 over here. So one value over here stands for item price, okay, and you're deducting C2 out of it. When you run this particular part, you'll get the total price of all the items mentioned over here. Okay, so this is how you can apply this particular function. Okay, this is very good when you have to do complex calculation. You don't need to build a certain measure for discount and then calculate after deducting it. This simply can reduce the work on that part. Okay, so you could see over here 1 minus C6. Okay, this is how you can calculate the calculation quickly. Okay. Over here, we'll see how to do a row numbering in which if I delete a row, okay, I should get the same value in the rows. Okay. So if I tell you in simple words, I have numbering over here. Okay. But my numbering has to be in a manner. So if I say I do a normal numbering, take an example. Okay. So if I do a normal numbering over here and drag this thing down, okay, you'll see if I delete a certain value. So if I delete a cell or a row over here, so if I delete it, you can see the numbering has got messed up. I want to delete, but the numbering now should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So how to update something like this? Okay. So in order to create something like this, I'll go to my first row, okay, and drag. I'll write over here a function that is row, okay, and in row, I'll mention nothing. Then I'll deduct it with row, okay, and I'll pass the first value in the column, okay. I'll press F4 to make it an absolute reference, okay. F4 is a shortcut for that thing. When I run this query, you'll get the answer over here. You can drag it down, okay. Now in future, if I delete any row over here, okay, if I delete this row, you can see the numbering is auto updating. The function over here is row minus first value, okay, and how the entire thing works over here. This is how you create auto numbering at the time of delete in Excel. Okay. Now over here, we will see how to load data from a PDF file. I have an Excel file over here, which is having the feedback of the people. I'll save this as a PDF. Okay. So I'll say save as. Okay. Over here in the export option, you have PDF option, by the way, but I'll do the conventional way. Okay. So I'll go to documents. Okay. I'll say student Excel workbook and I'll save it as a PDF. Click on save. Okay. Say make it under documents, click on save. Now when I save it, it will open a link for this document. Okay. Now I'll show you if you have something like this. Okay. How to load the data set is the question. Okay. How to load data set from a PDF file. So in this case, what I'll do is I will say make everything over here. I'll take a new sheet. Okay. We'll take a new sheet over here. I'll go to data. In data, either you'll get a new query option or a get data option. Either of the options mean the same, it depending on the version. In the new query option, we will go from other sources. Okay. And in from other sources, I will go to web option over here. Okay. So we'll click on from web. The URL that is mentioned over here. Okay. You have to copy the URL. Okay. Once you have done this thing, paste it over here. Okay. Click on OK. It may seem something like this. You can double click on this part. Okay. You can see this thing. Now there is an expand option coming on the data. Okay. So what you can do is you can click on this expand option. Okay. Click on OK. You can see values are coming up. First thing, I'll delete these things. Okay. First thing, I will select a filter on this thing so you can see page 1 options are coming. Okay. For removing the data that we want, okay, what I'll do is I will, when I expanded the value, right, so I'll go back to source, okay, before expanding, I will put a filter that I want only page 1. Okay. And now we'll expand. So you can see all the values are coming up. Now, no need for ID, name, and kind. Remove these columns. We have the date 1 column. Just do a basic thing. Use first row as header. In the home tab, you will see something as use first row as header. Okay. So as soon as you do that, this is how it is showing up, right? So I have all the values properly. Okay. Now we'll do a close and load. Okay. So this is how you can actually load data out of a PDF file without making any major changes to it. Okay. Now we'll see how to create a macros in Excel. Over here, I have a sales billing data. Okay. In this particular data set, what we'll do is I'll take a table. Okay. Now I have the shopping cart over here. Okay. Item price. Okay. In the shopping cart, I have given the user for data validation. So if you see over here in the data part, you can see in the data validation, I have given him the source as 1, 2. So user can put the manual quantities of item. Okay. Over here you can see all the quantities I mentioned. Now in order to create a macro, okay, you have to first start recording this thing. Okay, so in order to create or develop a macro, you should have a developer option tab. Okay, if by any chance you don't have a developer option tab, you can click on somewhere blank, right click on this thing, and you will see that you have an option of customize the ribbon. Okay, when you click on customize the ribbon option, you will see over here popular commands. You have to go to main tabs over here. Okay. In the main tabs, click on developer option. Okay. When you click on developer option, click on add. Mind you, please check at the right hand side that there is no developer option already. Like in my case, I already have a developer option. So I won't add this value. Okay. I'll not add the developer at the right. It will show up accordingly over here. Okay. If you don't have it, you can click on add, it will come at the right hand side. Once you click on OK, it will be added to your existing pane. Okay, you can see developer option is showing up. Now, in order to start recording a macro, I have to click on record macro. After this, all my clicks will be recorded. Okay, so rather than doing a process daily or rather than doing a repetitive process on a daily basis, I can record a macro. Okay, so I'll click on record macro. Okay, I'll name it as format 1. Okay, click on OK. Now all my clicks will be recorded here on. So first I'll adjust the sales billing system. Okay, I'll go to home. I'll do a merge in center, increase the font size, make it bold. Okay, background color I'll keep it as dark blue. Text color I'll keep it as white. Okay, then after this what we'll do over here is I will align this table. Okay, I'll add borders over here. Item price subheaders also I'll increase in size. I'll keep the color of background a little lighter this time. Okay, and text color as white. Increase the size and make it bold, and I can center align this thing. Okay, values inside this table will be made bold. Okay, this particular macro is designed for the purpose of formatting, so that is what I'm doing over here. Okay, you can see item price is coming up, price is coming up. Okay, I will do the same over here. Add some background, text color white, make it bold, adjust all borders over here. Okay, after doing this, same for this discount and GST too. So I have given the user the option to choose the discount and GST. It is coming as discount is coming as 10, 20 and 25. Okay, and GST is coming as 8, 18 and 28. Okay, he can choose it accordingly. Again, this is added using data validation. You can see 8, 18 and 28 is the source for the below one, and 10, 20 and 25 is the source for your discount one. Okay, after this I'll calculate the subtotal. Okay, you can increase the value size for better emphasis. Okay, so I'll increase the value size over here. Subtotal will be equal to all the item price, so I'll say sum of the price over here that is coming up. Okay, I'll click on enter. I'll get the total sum over here. Okay, now after getting the total sum, okay, what you can do is you have to calculate the discount and GST. Okay, Decimal places I'll reduce. Like I'll put a currency over here, okay, and reduce the decimal places. Now 15,100 is the sum that is coming up. I'll calculate the discount over here, okay. I'll copy the formatting over here to all the cards so that we have the values coming up in proper order, okay. Now 15,100 discount will be equal to, okay, I'll take the subtotal, okay, multiply it by 10, that is the F12, and divide it by 100, okay. When I click on enter, we'll get the 1510 as the discount over here. Then I'll add the GST, okay. I'll again take the subtotal over here, okay, and multiply it by GST and divide it by 100, okay. When I click on enter, I'll get the GST details over here. Last thing is the total. So total will be equal to subtotal, okay, minus discount, okay, plus GST, okay. So I have deducted discount over here, added GST over here. When I click on OK, I'll get the total price, that is 16,308, okay. Now once I have done this thing, what next? We will apply the format, like I'll do some formatting over here also, okay. Add borders, that's it, okay. Now what I want is that with this particular table, my cashier should also get a small pie chart which shows what value stands for what, okay, or how many items has he purchased for a product, okay. So for this reason, I'll pick this particular data set. I'll go to insert. I will go to pie chart over here, okay. This pie chart has been added, okay. In the filter option, I will select the data. I'll say we don't need the item price. We don't need the price. Okay, I just need the shopping cart quantity. Click on OK. Okay. And in the formatting option, in data label, I will turn on data callout. Okay. So when we turn on the data callout over here, this is how the values will show up. Okay. You've got the items. Now, once I have created this shopping cart item, okay, what next? Up over here, I have all the values. Okay. I will stop recording the macro. I'll go to the developer option and I'll click on stop recording. Okay. As soon as I click on stop recording, the recording will be stopped. Okay. I have the sheet 2 data. You can see this is completely blank. Okay. Discount and other values I'll put up over here. I'll put it as 10, over here 18. Okay. That was the one that we were giving in the last time. Okay. Guys, if you don't want to record the discount part, you can avoid that because this could be subjective, okay. Every time the macro will put the same quantity and discount, so you can do all the formatting and keep the shopping cart and discount and GST empty, okay. That you can leave the user to fill to, okay. So once we have done this thing, I will go to insert over here. I will add I'll go to the developer option, insert, and I'll add a button over here, okay. I'll take format 1 as the macro for this one, okay. I already have a format. I have taken format 1 that I created previously. We'll click on OK. I'll rename on this part, okay. This time I'll rename it as format, okay, so that user knows that this is the button dedicated for formatting, okay. As soon as I click on formatting, you will see all the values will come up, okay. You can see that the subtotals are coming up, values are coming up, okay. This is how the values are coming up. I think the logos have not been picked. You can put it, okay. So you can see all the shopping cart. So mostly formatting macro was able to record, and you can see we have the proper billing system. From a non-formatted table, I went a daily basis. If a user is doing something like this, it will be a very easy work, okay. Using macros, you can record your daily work, okay, be it formatting, be it creating pivot tables, be it creating any sort of data out of it, okay. And just by a click of button, you can assign the macro to it. You can do that process, okay. Now over here, we are seeing how to use a macro to format the data. Formatting means the data is not in a proper data type. You can see date is coming as 14.5.25 or 14 semicolon comma. All these delimiters are coming up. Okay. How to fix this thing? So what we'll do over here is first I'll go to developer option and I'll start recording a macro. Okay. I'll say date fix. Okay. Name of the macro. You can associate the macro to a particular, shortcut also. Okay. That's completely up to you. I'm not putting it for now. I'll click on OK. Now it has started recording. Okay. I'll go to the data part over here. There's an option called text to column. So you have to select these rows where you have date only. Okay. Don't select the column header. Go to text to column. Okay. Select delimited. After selecting the delimited option over here, click on next. Okay. In the next part, you have to see the data preview. Make sure everything is coming in one value. Okay. Click on next. I'm not selected anything in this option for now. Okay. When you click on next, in the date part, select date over here. Okay, so it will treat it as DMY. Okay, when you click on finish, you'll see that this has been fixed. Okay, now the next part that you can do is go to the developer option and stop this recording. Okay, so once we have stopped recording the macro, the next thing that we'll do over here is we will actually come to the back. Okay, this is the data type that I had. I will go to developer option. Okay, I will add a button over here. Okay, we will say that this is associated with date fix. After that, click on OK. I'll rename this button. I'll say fix date. That's the name of the button. Okay. As soon as we click on this option, you can see the date has been fixed. Okay. So if you are getting multiple types or multiple value issues in your date, you can create a macro like this and you can run it on a daily basis. You don't need to do it one by one. Okay. This is it for the macro advanced option. Now we'll see how to write basic VBAs in Excel. Okay. What I have in front of me is item numbers. So this is the item IDs that we have and their price mentioned over here. These are the values inside shopping cart. Okay. What I want to write a VBA for discount. Okay. In this particular VBA, how to write first thing first, you need to have the developer option. In the previous sections, I have told you how to write, like how to add a developer option. You need to go to the Visual Basic. Okay. So this is your Visual Basic where you normally write virtual basic codes. Okay. Over here in the Visual Basic, you have to select the sheet. So you have the worksheet, right? You can go to Insert, and in Insert, you have to open the module. Okay, so we'll open a module over here. When I open a module, this is how it will come up. Now I have to first give the name of it. So I'll say function name is discount. Okay, so this is printing the discount for us. The column that I'll take from the table is the shop cart, that is shopping cart. Okay, the quantity and the price over here. Okay, when you click on enter, it should show the end function. That is the ending of the function. By default, it comes up when you click on enter. Now I'll write a condition over here where I mention if, okay, shop cart is greater than 2. So if person is buying quantity greater than 2, then, okay, then is a statement normally over here. Okay, so if shop cart is greater than 2, then, okay, I'll go to the next statement. I'll write the first condition that we want over here. So condition is that discount should be equal to shop cart, that is your column, into price, that is again a column, into 0.2. Okay, so we are getting 20% on the value. Okay, and in the else condition, so if you are like less than 2, then we'll do a else statement where I'll say discount is equal to 0. Okay, now over here I have to end the if, so I'll say end if. Okay, that marks the ending of the statement. Okay, when I'm done with this function, I'll come to the discount over here. Okay, so you could see that there is a Visual Basic code that has been mentioned and the name of the code is discount now. Okay, I'll say over here is equal to discount. Okay, you'll get an option of discount coming up over here, which is the VBA. Okay, we'll click on tab and select price and shopping cart. Okay, two values I'll select over here. When I click on enter over here, you'll get the discount. You can drag it down like this. All the values for discount will come up. Okay. Now, after doing this thing, I want to add a clear button over here. So on this particular Visual Basic, once the user is done, he can clear the selection. Okay, so that he's ready for another bill. So for that, we will go to the Visual Basic again, and I'll add a subsection to this particular function. Okay, so after the end function, we'll add a sub. Okay, I'll name it as clear content. Okay, in the clear content, we are doing over here that I want to clear the content. Okay, so in this clear content, I'll say that row. Okay, so the rows that I want to clear are starting from 2. Okay, because from 2 actual values are getting populated. So I'll say 2. Okay, we'll put it under double quotes. Okay, post that I'll say that I am doing an and. Okay, I want to clear it to a certain value. So first you have to give the row index and column index. Okay, so I'll say rows count. This will give me the count of rows. Okay, I'll do a tab over here, close the bracket. Okay, and I'll say clear content. Okay, so clear content is the name. Okay, I'll say clear content. Okay, make sure that you have an S over here. Okay, so once you have done this thing, okay, you have the sub written. Okay, now normally you cannot call this because this is not a function now, it's a sub. Okay, so in order to run this function, you have to select it in this manner. Okay, and click on the play button over here. You'll see all the subs have gone, right? So the problem with this statement is that it is irreversible. You cannot have the values back again. Okay, so in order to solve this problem, we'll give a message box over here. Okay, so I'll randomly add some values. So I'll say item code 1002, price is 50. Okay, shopping cart value is 20. I'll say 11. That's the shopping code. Item cost is 5,000 and he has bought two quantities of it. Okay, 4502 is the item code. Price is 5,000. Okay, and he has bought one quantity of it. Same way, I'll say code 777 for a product. 450 rupees and he has bought 5 quantities of it. Okay, for the discount we'll do the same. I'll call the discount function over here. Okay, and we will put the values b2 comma shopping cart values. Okay, run this query, drag it to the bottom. Okay, now before doing a clear content, I want the values to come up. Okay, so I want that there should be a small message box that should come so that user doesn't lose his data just by clicking on the like us on the sub. So I'll push a message box over here. Okay, I'll write it as answer is equal to, okay, message box, and what we will display in the message box will be confirm to delete the records. Okay, and I'll put a question mark for the message box. Okay, I'll give a VB yes, no. That's a button that we'll get over here. Okay, click on tab. Okay, close this thing. Now after this thing, I'll run this sub. Okay. Now the problem with this particular sub was that if I delete something, it gets deleted, right? I've again populated some data. Okay. I'll just quickly put the discount over here. I'll say discount, okay, is equal to price, comma, shop cart value. Okay. We have mentioned it over here. Now I'll go to my VBA. Okay. Now what we are doing over here is that in this particular VBA, I'm getting the value. Okay. So let us see how it works. Now in this particular part, we have the sub clear content. Okay. I'll add a message for the user so that he can apply it accordingly. So I'll write it answer. Okay. Answer is equal to message box. I'll put the statement over here. Confirm to delete values. Okay. I'll put a question mark, double quotes, and put a VB yes or no. That's the code for showing the options. Okay. VB yes, no. This is just a message box that will appear first. So now when I try to clear this content, okay, and run this particular box, okay, you can see confirm to delete values is coming. Okay, when I click on yes, then only the values will be deleted. So it will be acting as a caution to the user so that he doesn't delete the values by mistake. Okay, this is how you write VBAs in Excel. Okay, now over here we are seeing integration of AI on Excel. Okay, the first thing that we'll do over here is I'll add an add-in over here. You can go to add-ins option. Okay, you can search for AI aided. Okay, now this is called as AI aided formula. Okay, I already have it in mind, so it's not showing. This is called as AI aided formula editor. Okay, so you can add this thing. You have to log in order to use this particular part. Okay, so AI aided formula in general, if I tell you, is used for the purpose of adding formula to your existing data set. Okay, and you don't need to write the entire formula. So if you don't know how to write functions in Excel, then you can use AI aided formula and it will write functions for you. Okay, because human intervention is to the minimal, you have to pass some instructions over there. Okay, so I'll go to the AI generator over here. Okay, I've taken example. It is saying sum A1 to B20. Okay, you can see over here it's written. I'll try to write something a little more complicated. Let's see if we can test this AI. Okay, so I'll say sum B2 to B8. Okay, and subtract B2 to B8. Okay, then I want to multiply 25 into it. I'll get the 25 multiplication. Okay, and I want to divide 100. I'm trying to write in most of the parts. So first I wrote in simple English, then I tried to write the formula over here. When I click on submit, it will give me an answer over here. So we are trying to calculate a 25% discount on the total price that we are getting. So sum will give us the total price and then we are calculating 25% discount. So we are trying to calculate the sum after this discount. Okay, so you can see over here AI generated has created a formula over here. Okay, let us test this thing. So I'll copy the formula. I'll go to the formula bar over here and paste this thing. Okay, when I run this query, we are getting 3225. Okay. If you want to test this thing, you can go to home, do a auto sum onto this value. Okay. So your 4300 is what is coming as your total sales. Okay. And if you want a 25% over here, you can say 4300. Okay. Into 25 divided by 100. Okay, so this way I'll get the value 1075. If you want to go to the final answer, you can do 4300 minus 1075. Okay, when I run this query, we are getting 3225. So this is how you can use or create formulas using AI edited formula. Okay, now we are downloading another AI tool. Okay, we'll go to the home tab. Okay, I'll add ChatGPT for Excel. Again, you can go to add-ins and search for ChatGPT for Excel. Okay, the logo would be something like this. Okay, you can add this thing. Again, you will require login. Free access will give you around 290 trials, 299 approximately trials. Okay, when I open this ChatGPT for Excel, I'm asking basic questions over here. Take an example. I want to see Russia's currency. Okay, so how to ask this question? I'll say AI dot ask. Okay, I'll put the question and the answer over here. Okay. When I run this particular query, it will get the data. So it is saying the currency of Russia is Russian ruble, abbreviated as RGB. The symbol is this particular. Okay. So that is how you can ask questions from AI. Up over here, I've listed one top 5 cricketer players of all time with birth year, nationality, total runs, and century. Okay. So I'll do over here AI dot ask. Okay. I'll put the prompt over here and close this bracket. When I run this particular query, I'll get the answer. Okay. Now I'll do one thing because I have done a text wrap over here. I'll do this way. Okay. So you can see over here, we have the top 5 cricketers of all time. Okay. All the details mentioned. You can zoom out a bit. Okay. Because I had specifically asked a lot of values, they are coming up over here. Okay. What was their birth year? What was the nationality that they were? What were their total runs and their total centuries? Okay. So these are based on the impact on the game. Okay. You can see all the records over here on the values mentioned over here. Okay. That is how you can use AI Ask. Okay. AI Ask also has integration of AI table. Okay. You can use AI fill. I'll show you an application of AI fill over here. Okay. So in AI fill, what I'm doing, I have the country and the capital over here. India, Delhi, China, Beijing. Over here, we'll do a AI Ask. Okay. Sorry, AI.fill. In AI.fill, I'll click on tab over here. Okay. First, it will ask for example. So I'll give the example over here. And then it will ask you for the partial value, that is A4. When I run this query, it will get the data. Okay. So it will give you the capital for USA. Okay. So this is how you can integrate AI onto the part of AI for ChatGPT Excel. Okay. There are multiple other functions. You can go to how to use option. Okay. You can see the AI functions available over here. They have given tutorial for each and every function. Okay. And you can use it across. Now we are seeing how to use analyze feature in Excel. Okay. I had an Excel workbook, okay, that I had data for sample superstore, which we have seen previously in Power Query. I'm using the same data set, okay. Analyze feature is generally used with Excel Online. So I'll open my Excel Online application, okay. Over here, I have pasted the data that we had copied from there. Okay, so there are around 9,994 records that we have over here. Now I want to create insights on the data and I want AI to help me on that. Okay. In the data bar over here, you will get something called as, so over here, if you see, right, you got an option called as analyze data. Okay. So if I click on analyze data option over here, you can see that the values will come up. Okay. It will take a little bit of time, but it will start analyzing my Excel data, all the records, and give me some interesting insights, which I can use as pivot table. I can insert pivot charts over here. I can add visuals over here. So these sort of things. Also, I can ask question. Okay. You can see top 2 segment by profit. If I ask this thing, it will give me accordingly. If I say, give me the top customer name, okay, by sales. Okay. You can see over here, we are getting the suggestions also. We can always use a suggestion, guys. Okay. Don't try to write it on your own. It will be able to understand. So you can see Sheet Miller is someone, okay, who has the highest sales. Okay. In this particular value, okay, I could have also got the top customer, okay, and city. Okay. It's not showing over here. I'll just try to write it in a proper manner. We'll try. See, this is a AI feature. It's a hit and miss. Sometimes it works. Okay. You can see cities coming up. Okay. Properly answers are coming up. Okay. It is also suggesting you some suggestions. Okay. Did you mean top customer by city by average sales? Or did you mean top customer name by city by total sales? You have to write it in a structured manner. Okay. Try writing it in this manner so that AI is able to understand. These all tools are actually learning from us. Okay. So if you see over here, there were some suggested visuals initially, right? I can insert this particular pivot chart. Okay. So if I click on insert pivot chart, it will create a new page and add this value. Okay.
If I'm in a meeting, I'm in a hurry, I want to create multiple visuals, this is something that will be very helpful for creating these sort of insights. Okay, so you can understand how easy this particular analyzed data will make your values. Okay, this is your analyzed data that we have seen over here. Okay, now we'll see how to remove duplicates using AI features in Excel. Okay, this is a functionality that is available on Excel Online. So I pasted my data over here. Okay, I'll select the data. So take an example, I've done a control A over here. I'll go to the data option. You will see over here, there's an option called remove duplicates. Okay, I can use this particular option. It will say select all columns that you want to remove the duplicates from. I'll say I want to remove duplicates only from order ID. Now, mind you, I don't want you to go into the technical terms over here. Why are we removing it? This is just a functionality, and I'm showing you that my order IDs are repeating in the data. Okay, so around 9,994 records are there with repetition. When I click on OK, and remove the duplicates, you can see 4985 duplicates have been removed and 5000 unique values are coming, 5009 to be precise. Okay, so this is how you can remove duplicates in your Excel. Okay, now in this part we'll be using ChatGPT to get our work done. Okay, I have sheet 1 where we have some dates, and in this particular sheet I have dates. Okay, what I want over here is that in the sheet 3, I have all the duplicated sheets. Okay. So I went to my browser and I mentioned over here to the chat GPT to create an Excel macro that compares date from sheet 1 and sheet 2 and create new sheet with all the columns of identified duplicate between sheet 1 and sheet 2. Okay. So macro will write a code for me. Okay, there are some assumptions made, by the way. Okay, so if you write it in this manner, they are saying that dates are expected to be in column A. You want to compare only dates and find matches. On finding a match, the entire row from both the sheets will be combined side by side. Okay, the new sheet will have headers clearly labeled on the columns. Now they have mentioned how to open the macro, how to press, okay, how to insert a new module, and then given me a code. Now, this is something that is interesting. Okay, I have copied the code. Okay, when I try to run this particular code, take an example. So I'll take a new sheet. Okay, I'll paste it over here. I'll say that I want to go to Visual Basic. Okay, I'll go to Insert Module. Okay, I'll place this module over here. Okay, finding duplicated created sheet, and I'll name it as 1. Okay, sheet 1. Okay. Now over here, when I run this particular module, it returns an error. Okay, so the error was runtime 1004. It says you cannot paste this here because copy of area paste area aren't of the same size. If I tell you in simple words, when I tried to debug this code, they had also given the destination range that had to be mentioned by me, which obviously is very difficult because I don't know the number of duplication. Okay, so I went to ChatGPT. Okay, I mentioned over here. Okay, so I mentioned that it is giving me a runtime error 1004. Okay, so in that case, they pointed out the mistake and gave me an updated macro. Okay, let us try this one also. I'll take a new sheet this time. Okay, I'll close this one. We will go to Visual Basic. Okay, I'll remove the existing one because obviously it was wrong, and I'll take this one. Okay, I'll say find create sheet 1 2. Okay, when I run this particular query, it will give me a message. Message was a part of the macro. Okay. So if you see the macro over there, they have added a message box. Okay. Saying duplicate date comparison is completed. Okay. When I click on OK, I can find the dates over here. You can see these were the duplicated dates as mentioned by our particular chat GPT that these will have. So initially, if you see over here, they are mentioned that both the rows will be there, okay, from both the tables along with the repetitions. Okay, so both the rows from both the table along with repetition. Okay, so that is how you can make your work easy with ChatGPT, and you can create these interesting multi-line macros from using of these AI features. Okay.
You have just completed a comprehensive journey through the world of Excel, learning everything from fundamental skills to advanced analytics and automation. More than this, just formulas and charts, you have been doing advanced Excel visualizations and calculations. Excel is now a platform for intelligent data processing with AI integration and can dramatically improve your productivity. The tools and techniques you have learned will empower you to work smarter, automate repeated tasks, and make informed decisions. Keep practicing, stay curious, and continue to explore how Excel can transform your everyday data challenges into strategic opportunities.